All right, I think I'm getting set up here. Let's see. Look at. Yeah, it's like a waiting room or something for this. It should be coming up here in a minute. Fantastic. Love it. Hello, everyone. Make sure my audio is set up. Weird they don't actually have like a waiting area for the stream yet, but hopefully it'll be up here any second. Get into it. You guys got any predictions? You think we're getting Claude 4? Gotta be Claude 4, right? Come on, Anthropic. Make this link work. What if I do this? Same thing. Claude 4 Opus, okay. Oh, from Lisbon, dang. Yeah, I'm excited too. Yep, AGI is here, everyone. Got AGI. Actually, let me see if I can find it. It's just funny. Yeah, I'd be surprised if it wasn't available in the EU, but sometimes they do it just in the US first. I'm sort of wondering if it's gonna even. Man, would that be a. That would be a crazy twist if it wasn't Claude 4, I have to tell you. Yeah, David, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like a lot of the things we're getting now are very incremental. But what really is amazing to me is the way people are building on top of it more than anything. The like codex to me is freaking awesome. Duels I think should be awesome. You think a 2 million context window, that would be insane. I was thinking if they came out even with 500K, that would be kind of big. Or are they gonna just tease us with no actual link? I do kind of wonder if they're just gonna have like a preview of this Claude 4, not actually have it available today, and then say that it's going through like safety checks. I think 500K would be totally fine for Claude, to be honest, too. Especially if we get the full 500K in like Claude code. I think that's totally fine. Yeah, exactly. On the bigger context isn't always better. Guys, let's see if they maybe they put it in. Let me look up cat here. Oop. Ah, YouTube. Great idea. They're not posting it on X. Or oh, there's me. Look up Anthropic. Oh, here we go.
I'm Mike Krieger. I'm
Thank you.
Chief Product Officer here at Anthropic. I just hit my 1-year mark, which in AI years is about like 3 years, but I'm having a blast. And before this, I co-founded Instagram and also an AI-powered news app called Artifact, which is where I first started getting exposed to a lot of these AI technologies. I joined Anthropic because of its founder's vision, building AI systems that are powerful as well as helpful and trustworthy. Today, that vision includes something immediate and concrete, a commitment to empower developers like yourselves to transform how work gets done and how companies get built. This transformation is about augmenting, not replacing, human creativity. AI agents are changing the way we work and the way we innovate. They're expanding what we can build by removing bottlenecks that have limited human productivity. Today, you'll hear from our product and engineering leaders, as well as some of our customers, about how they're pushing the frontier. To give you a sense of what you can expect today at Code with Claude, you can attend 3 technical deep dives to transform how you build with Claude, and 5 sessions from leading players already using Anthropic's platform to reshape their industries, and dedicated office hours and workshops for hands-on experience. But before we talk about some exciting new API capabilities I have for you, I want to invite a guest on stage. Please welcome our CEO and co-founder, Dario Amodei.
Hey, everyone. I'm going to be back in 20 minutes for a fireside, so I'll be really brief with this appearance. I'm not one to hype things up, so I'll just say this without any further fanfare. I'm happy to announce that as of exactly this moment, we're releasing Claude 4 Opus and Claude 4 Sonnet on all of our relevant product surfaces.
So it is out now. Nice. All right, I gotta go see if it's in the browser.
Now, I know that we haven't had an Opus model in a while, so just as a reminder, Opus is the most capable and intelligent model, and Sonnet is the mid-level model that you all know and love and have been using for the last approximately year. That's a good balance between intelligence and efficiency. We tried to design both of them so that there are use cases and times when it's optimal to use each one. So I will talk very briefly about the 2 of them and then turn it back over to Mike, and then I'll be back for the fireside. First, let's talk about Opus. So it is especially designed for coding and agentic tasks. It gets state-of-the-art on SWE-bench, Terminal Bench, some other things like that. But I think in many ways, as we're often finding with large models, the benchmarks don't fully do justice to it. Customers who we've previewed it to have found that it can do tasks that take humans up to 6 or 7 hours autonomously. Within Anthropic, I've seen some of our most senior engineers be surprised at how much more productive it has made them. And for the first time, actually, when I've looked and seen Claude-written internal summaries, documents, and ideas, in the past, the quality was often good, but you could never really quite mistake it for a human because it always had that specific style. This was the first time I actually got fooled, where I actually got back, and then I just read by the name really fast, and I thought it referred to someone on the team, and I'm like, no, the name was Claude. So I think there's a lot in Opus. On Sonnet, I think this will be for many people a strict update for a strict improvement from Sonnet 3.7 at the same cost and better intelligence. Many customers are simply switching directly from one to the other. It actually does just as well as Opus on some of the coding benchmarks, but I think it's leaner and more narrowly focused. I think in particular, it addresses some of the feedback we got on Sonnet 3.7 around overeagerness, the tendency to do more than you asked for, which is sort of the opposite of laziness, which was an earlier problem, and some of the reward hacking issues. So many of our customers have been trying it out and view it as a strong upgrade from 3.7. For example, Cursor here has been one of our well-known customers, has been trying it and saying this is a state of the art. This is a state of the art coding model. It's a leap forward in complex code-based understanding, and we expect developers will experience across-the-board capability improvements. Someone who was playing with the model in person, one customer said, "What the F is this model?" It's really amazing. So I'll leave the details to others, but the last thing I'll say is we are going to continue to improve the Claude 4 series of models. We expect to periodically release perhaps minor version updates, ideally even more frequently than we have for Sonnet. So it should be out there. You should be able to try it on basically all the surfaces as of now, except I think free tier has Sonnet only, but all the other surfaces, all the API surfaces have both. So really hope you enjoy the model, and I'll turn it back over to Mike.
Thank you, Dario. 2 new models, and you heard it here first. We'll be seeing Dario again, as you mentioned, at the end of our agenda for a Q&A, where I'll get to ask him the questions that are likely on your mind right now as well. I'm personally very excited for our customers to try both Claude Opus 4 and Sonnet 4. Our teams have loved working with them, and we think you will too. Now that Dario has shared our big model news, I'll talk more about our detailed API roadmap. Our goals for building Claude 4 were clear from the start. We wanted to build powerful AI that safely introduces new model capabilities, continue to advance the frontier for coding and AI agents, and ensure that Claude becomes your virtual collaborator. And that's exactly what we've delivered with Opus 4 and Sonnet 4. Like Sonnet 3.7, both Claude 4 models are what we call hybrid models that have 2 modes, near instant responses and extended thinking for when you need deeper reasoning. I've been surprised at how many customers use the deeper reasoning even for non-coding and non-math use cases. Opus 4 is great at understanding your code base and planning additions. It's extremely effective and accurate with everything from migrations to code refactorings, and it's also the right choice for your most complex agentic workflows. If you found you've hit a wall with other models on your use case, I think you'll be really pleasantly surprised with what you can do with Opus 4. Sonnet 4, meanwhile, excels at everyday coding tasks, app development, and pair programming. It's also ideal for high-volume use cases. It perfectly balances efficiency with performance. Think of it as your always-on coding partner. Both models are live today, as Dario mentioned, in Claude and Claude Code, as well as the Anthropic API, Amazon Bedrock, and Google Cloud's Vertex AI.
Hey, Matt.
These models bring critical new capabilities for building AI agents. They can use tools like web search during the reasoning process, which is new, handle multiple tools in parallel, and when given access to local files, can actually maintain memory across sessions to build knowledge over time. And I'll talk with Dario a little bit about that memory feature too later. These aren't just incremental improvements. They fundamentally change what's possible for AI agents.
I bet he means via the API, probably not.
Now, I know the term agents gets thrown around a lot these days. I have a personal joke, which is how many minutes into a meeting can we make it at Anthropic without saying the word agents? I think I made it 17 minutes or something. But today what we're going to focus on is agents beyond the hype. I think what's really key is with the right underlying models and the right underlying platform tools, AI agents can actually turn human imagination into tangible reality at unprecedented scale. And that's especially important for startups and developers like yourselves. I've been a founder myself. When I think back to Instagram's early days, our famously small team had to make a bunch of very painful either-or decisions. It'd be either explore adding video to the product or focus on our core creativity. Either focus on our mobile app, and at first our single mobile app, or expand into the web. It was all very single track. With AI agents, startups now can run experiments in parallel, learn from users, and build products faster than ever before, which is something I've heard from many of you
like
all.
right now, it's still telling me it's
And
Claude
AI
3.7
agents can give you the founders of startups access to the kind of strategic thinking that you might get from a high-powered CFO. I see our CFO in the front row here, or head of product, while they're still building towards those key positions yourselves. You're not ready to make those hires, but you can hire Claude for some of those roles for now.
Or something like that.
This transformation is no longer theoretical. I see it in my role and my work every single day. I personally spend a lot of time with Claude, maybe more time with Claude than my significant other. It's fine. In fact, soon after I joined Anthropic, I sat down with Amazon's Alexa team, and they were eager to see how Claude might become part of their vision for the future of voice assistants. At first, my team planned on presenting some slides, talking points, kind of the plan we'd make for any other customer. But in the days leading up to the meeting, I had this persistent thought, why not use Claude itself to build a hands-on demo? I thought it'd make the conversation more interesting and bring to life the potential of Claude and Alexa functionality together. The challenge was building this demo without any access to Alexa's actual code base. We needed to create a prototype of the core Alexa functionality while also integrating Claude's capabilities, all within a tight one-week timeline, really a tight one-weekend timeline. Claude was the only reason we were able to pull this off in such a limited time frame. Our 3-person team, split between San Francisco and London, built a functional prototype that showed the potential. And thanks to Claude, the effort was a success. I even got to write some of the code. You can take the engineer out of the engineering or CTO role, but you can't take it out of me, and do a lot of the front-end development for the project itself. And of course, a lot more work went into the partnership after that first meeting. But Claude is now one of the models that Amazon is using for Alexa Plus, which launched earlier this year and is now rolling out. And we were able, I think, to really show the potential thanks to Claude. I've been watching this evolution towards agentic AI for years now. When I first got a demo and early access of GitHub Copilot back in 2021, I called it the single most mind-blowing application of machine learning I've ever seen. Back in those days, in 2021, we called it machine learning instead of AI. That was generations ago, but it was really clear the potential for this early glimpse of agentic AI. I had an even stronger feeling last summer when we launched Artifacts. I could describe what I wanted for a mini app or visualization, hit send, go grab coffee, and come back to Claude having built what I'd imagined. And over the following year, it's become clear we're not just building better tools, we're creating genuine collaborators. And Anthropic's economic research confirms what I've seen firsthand. For the majority of use cases, AI is augmenting people's work instead of replacing it. It's much more about tasks than entire roles. And this is similar to the influence that your best colleagues have. The most talented people you work with don't just execute.
We need real code to update.
They understand your context, they learn from experience, and they know when to take the initiative versus when to just check in. Great AI agents, like the ones you can build on our platform, should excel at 3 capabilities. They should have contextual intelligence, understanding you and your organization's unique context, and continuously learning from experience, not just following instructions, but comprehending the why and the how. That means models that learn and personalize over time, acquiring not just contextual, but also episodic and organizational memory. The way I always put this to the team is your 100th task with an agent should be much better than your first, just like your 100th day with an employee should be much better than your first if you're doing the right things around training. Second, long-running execution. Handling complex, multi-hour tasks without constant management, coordinating with other agents and humans as needed.
Are they doing a remote agent?
And then you can execute it over a longer period of time. And third, genuine collaboration, engaging in meaningful dialogue, adapting to your working style, and providing transparent reasoning for their actions. The key insight here is that true agency doesn't mean uncontrolled action, and autonomy doesn't mean just YOLOing it. It means intelligent autonomy balanced with clear checkpoints, maintaining human oversight for critical decisions while delegating the smaller decisions that usually consume so much of our time. Now let's talk about those capabilities we're announcing to serve those 3 needs. We'll start with our new code execution tool, which is available on the Anthropic API today. The code execution tool gives Claude an environment where it can run code, enabling it to act as a data analyst that can transform raw data into visual insights. Claude doesn't just write code anymore. Now it can execute it. It sees the results, and it can iteratively refine the results and the code to better highlight patterns in your data. Here, we'll show Claude analyzing sales data to see how a specific type of product is performing.
This is actually pretty cool.
Claude can load your data set.
I do use it for this sometimes.
Generate exploratory charts,
but I typically
and
have
drill
it
down
write the
into
code
anomalies
to do it.
all in real time. As someone who started their career as a data visualization analyst, this resonates a bunch with me. And the code execution tool is even more powerful when combined with the intelligence of the Claude 4 models. This is what we mean by agency, the ability to take a complex task and see it through to completion.
That's actually pretty sweet.
These are the first models capable of handling hours of tasks, saving you half, maybe even full days when you work alongside them. And not just writing code snippets, but refactoring entire code bases or implementing complex features from scratch. To give you a sense of the kind of progress that we're seeing, Back in the day when I started, you could delegate maybe minutes of work to Claude 3. Claude 3.7, meanwhile, could work autonomously for about 45 minutes without losing its thread. And now we're breaking into hours of work that Claude can take on autonomously. As you saw earlier, Rakuten mentioned that they ran Claude independently for an incredible 7 hours with sustained performance. It can do it without losing the thread, especially as it's able to manage its memory and its own to-do list. We've already integrated this power where you work. Hopefully you're all familiar with Claude Code, our agentic coding tool that we launched in research preview a few months ago. We're moving Claude Code to general access today. This actually started as an internal exploratory project by Boris, one of our tech leads. This is his announcement post, who wanted Claude to help them code directly in the terminal. Very early, we still called it Claude CLI internally. I think some of our best innovations like artifacts and Claude Code have really come from this kind of bottoms-up experimentation. It's part of the culture we try to foster at Anthropic. Within just 2 days of launching it internally, our usage chart went vertical. People talk about product market fit. We really often talk about product Anthropic fit. Like, are people internally dogfooding? Are they using it? Today, most Anthropic employees rely on it for everything from routine coding to large-scale migrations. I've watched some of our most advanced coders run multiple copies of Claude Code across multiple terminal windows. They're moving from just being engineers to being managers of several autonomous agents, tackling everything from simple coding tasks to complex full-stack development projects across multiple code bases.
Not in
I
Claude
realized
Code
I was using
either.
Claude Code, and I would run one in our front-end repo and one in our back-end repo, and one of the Claude Code engineers is like, "You're doing it wrong. Just run it in the root." Claude can figure out where it's going to be able to do it across all of them, and it does it beautifully, and that's changed how I've used it already. The vast majority of Anthropic developers use Claude Code daily. To give you a sense of the impact it's had on our team, it's shortened our technical onboarding time to get engineers up to speed from 2 to 3 weeks to 2 to 3 days. I've really seen it how it can help you build an understanding of the code base, especially a large monolith like ours, very rapidly, as it's fantastic at navigating code. And today we're bringing Claude Code capabilities directly into VS Code and JetBrains with full diff views and agentic workflow management built into the editors.
Really?
And we're also introducing the Claude Code SDK, so you can build your own applications on top of the same core agent as Claude Code. As an example of the possibilities of the SDK, you can now run Claude Code in GitHub. You can tag Claude in a GitHub pull request or an issue, and it will respond to reviewer feedback, modify code, or implement test coverage.
Yep, remote agents, man.
We're also focused on what we call closing the loop. So Claude Code is now helping build itself, and it demonstrates the power of self-improvement as it speeds up its own development. It's incredible how Claude Code empowers developers like yourselves to get more done. I think back to when I was building Instagram, our team was between 2 and 6 engineers, before we got acquired, and we were supporting 2 mobile platforms. We would have been able to produce prototypes in days and not weeks if we had agentic coding products like this. We've talked a lot about building performant, reliable agents. Now, agency without responsibility is dangerous, especially when you're talking about something that's self-improving like our Claude Code product, and even more so in enterprise settings with stringent security and compliance requirements. I think widespread adoption of agents will require improving model discernment and judgment around confidentiality, decision-making, and coordination. So our models are already good at this, but we'll continue to improve, making sure that they know what's confidential, they know what to reveal, and that you can trust them in a production setting. That's why every feature that we build around our models incorporates what we call architectural safety. Checkpoints and controls, not just carte blanche. Agents pausing on major decisions, while users can define which actions need human approvals, which we've also built into the model context protocol. They're robust against exploitation. We test them, we battle test them, a lot around things like prompt injection. And they're also transparent by design, with clear feedback loops and observable behavior. When you trust your agents to act autonomously, you're free to focus on innovation instead of mitigation. Another area we've invested heavily in is interpretability, the science of understanding exactly what's going on inside the minds of AI models. Dario recently wrote about the urgency of understanding how our AI systems actually work, if you read his essay, The Urgency of Interpretability, what he calls the race between model intelligence and interpretability. Effectively, we want to be able to give our AI an MRI to see what it's thinking about and spot any potential problems like deception so we can steer it in the right direction. When I joined Anthropic, I was excited about how our research pipeline could directly fuel our products. Take Golden Gate Claude. I pushed to ship this in my second week at Anthropic because it didn't feel like it was just a good research paper. It would make a fantastic demo, a visceral demonstration of how interpretability works in action. when we amplified the Golden Gate Bridge feature inside the Claude neural network, we saw that suddenly we could see what it means to manipulate the inner workings of AI, and in this case, make it deeply obsessed with our favorite bridge. The techniques that we used to create Golden Gate Claude could in the future help us reduce harmful model behaviors or improve model performance for specific domains. And as we start employee virtual collaborators around companies, my hope is that we can lean on techniques like interpretability and auditability to be a cornerstone of their work so we can figure out what they're doing at scale. These are the kinds of breakthroughs that are going to help us transform abstract research into tangible product capabilities. As you saw earlier, we're now at the point where AI models can handle hours of autonomous work, and that's a capability that's doubling every several months. But raw model capability alone isn't enough. To unlock these multi-hour workflows in practice, agents also need access to real-world information, a connection to your existing systems, and cost-efficient scaling. That's why we're launching 4 interconnected capabilities to help power agents with context and help them scale. So first off, starting today, you can now connect the Model Context Protocol directly through our API. MCP is already being used by Microsoft, Google, OpenAI, Block, Atlassian, Zapier, Linear, and many more.
God,
this was the dream list. When we started creating the MCP protocol and we open sourced it,
if I understand
this was the dream list. Like maybe one day we'll get these companies to adopt it. It's less than a year and they've all come on board.
Through the API.
MCP acts as the universal translator and connector for AI agents, enabling seamless connection to your existing system without needing to write a custom bespoke integration every single time. This lays the foundation of what could become the agent economy, where specialized agents have access to the data and tools they need to tackle complex challenges. Second, web search gives Claude real-time access to current information. This is intelligent data augmentation that allows Claude to reason about current events, market trends, and emerging technologies. It's really powerful in combination with the MCP feature as well. You can imagine searching across an internal knowledge source, making some new insights, and then going off and searching the web to contextualize them. Third, the Files API is available today in the API to streamline how developers access and store documents, simplifying development workflows. We're also releasing a cookbook to help developers build that memory functionality that I mentioned directly into their applications. These new Claude 4 models have shown significant improvement in what we call self-managed memory. So you'll find that this works surprisingly well. And it can be achieved with very little additional overhead by using the Files API, as we demonstrate in that cookbook. You'll see Claude both read and write to these memory files and maintain context over time. Last, Power needs to be practical and scalable. We want to ensure that we can grow with you from prototype to production to millions of users so that you're able to control cost and improve efficiency. We want Claude to work for you as you succeed and reach massive scale. That's why prompt caching was our most requested feature, one of our most popular API features. With prompt caching, customers can provide Claude with more context and background knowledge and example outputs, reducing costs by up to 90% and latency by up to 85% for long prompts. Now, every customer I talked to had one very clear request on prompt caching that we're delivering today, which is a longer time deliver TTL. So in addition to the 5-minute TTL we had out of the box, with prompt caching, today we're launching a premium 1-hour TTL, which is a 12x improvement that dramatically reduces cost for long-running agent workflows.
Premium?
This infrastructure makes agent applications
be
viable
like double
at
the
scale.
cost.
So these capabilities all compound. When we think about building features into the API, we don't think about them as one-off. We think about how do they complement each other? How do they form a cohesive story? Claude can now execute code, understand your systems, access current information on the web, creating the foundation for agents that operate with full context, even for long-running tasks, and it can use the Files API to maintain memory and context during that entire execution. Everything you've seen this morning is just the beginning. Our roadmap continues to build on 3 pillars. The first is industry-leading agentic tools and applications, so you can use Claude autonomously to handle hours of work, knowing it can use the code environment, code execution tool to execute code in its own environment. Claude Code is now generally available, integrating with VS Code and JetBrains, so you can use the extensive SDKs to build your own custom workflows, including inside GitHub. We'll continue to push on integrating more context in the API.
How long the cache stays
Our updates today
available.
allow you to bring this
as soon as that
context
TTL
via
expires,
the Model
it's no
Context
longer
Protocol,
cache
as
for
well
you.
as build on real-time updates from the web and execute complex workflows across any data source and across anything in the API via MCP. And finally, efficient scaling. As of today, you can use the expanded 1-hour prompt caching to optimize performance and cost at scale.
You think about when you're
Each
chatting,
advancement builds on what
if
we've
it's 5
discussed
minutes,
today.
it's 5
With
minutes from
Claude
the
4
time
is
you
the
send that
foundation,
message to
Opus
the
4 for your
next.
most complex agentic workflows,
You put
Sonnet
a system
4 is your
prompt
daily
up,
driver
it's
for
there for
everyday
5 minutes. If you
intelligence.
chat for
We're
longer
enabling
than
a
5
new
minutes,
class of
it'll go out of
applications.
cache, and now you're
Code
paying the full
execution
cost
expands
again.
the hours of work that Claude can
It's
do.
pretty big
MCP
boost.
expands the comprehensive information that Claude can retrieve, and our platform updates ensure our models become increasingly efficient for every dollar spent. We're actively learning from developers like yourselves to how you use these tools, so please keep the feedback coming. I love API feedback. If you don't know this about me, absolutely, ping me. I love hearing the feedback and how we can continue to improve the API for developers like yourselves. And MCP is a perfect example of this. It started as an internal idea and then began, and if you watch the Microsoft Build keynote, they're building MCP into so much of their real infrastructure as well. We want to create an ecosystem of AI agents where we have the feedback loops to make them actually useful for you. Today, we stand at a major threshold. Our latest models, combined with all the latest tools that we've released, are giving the seeds of a new era. The future isn't about AI doing human work. It's about AI helping humans do superhuman work. And I'm really excited to build this vision together with you, and I can't wait to see the kinds of applications it powers for all of your companies. And to show you what's possible, I'm next going to hand the mic to Kat Wu from our product team to demonstrate how accessing our new models inside Claude Code transforms your development workflows, helping you ship complex, multi-day tasks in a single conversation. Welcome again to Code with Claude, and thanks again. Hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, apparently Claude Code's getting a tighter integration with VS Code. I'm curious what that's going to look like.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kat Wu, Product Manager for Claude Code. As Mike mentioned, we recently launched Claude Code, our agentic coding tool, in research preview. Claude Code gives developers direct access to the raw power of Anthropic's models, right where they work, in their terminals. As of today, Claude Code is generally available.
Okay. I actually thought it already was. I guess
Throughout computing
it was an early
history,
beta or
we've
something, or
continually
preview
moved
mode.
to higher levels of abstraction, from machine code to assembly to high-level languages. With Claude Code and increasingly agentic models, we're witnessing another step forward. Developers are shifting from asking for specific functions to describing entire features, guiding AI, and changing how software is built.
Very, very true.
Today, we're bringing the new Claude 4 models to Claude Code, making it an even more powerful and capable coding agent. And on top of new models, we're releasing several new features in Claude Code, focused on making it a more versatile coding agent across your whole dev lifecycle.
I'm excited for this.
First, Claude Code now integrates with VS Code and JetBrains IDEs, bringing it to familiar interfaces.
I cannot believe they do
for
this. This is
millions
exactly
of
how I work
developers.
anyway. I literally have
As
Claude Code in my terminal.
works, you can now see its proposed changes in line in your editor. We're also releasing the Claude Code SDK, which allows developers to use Claude Code as a building block in your applications and workflows. The possibilities are endless with the SDK. To showcase these possibilities, we're releasing an open source example of the SDK in action with Claude Code in GitHub. You can tag Claude directly on pull requests and issues in GitHub, and Claude Code will respond to reviewer feedback, fix CI errors, and add new functionality. With these additions, Claude Code now works everywhere you do, acting as a virtual teammate across all surfaces. In the terminal for deep development work, in remote environments like GitHub for automated workflows built on the SDK, and in the IDE for seamless review. All in, Claude Code is a versatile coding agent for accelerating development wherever you are, whether you're working directly with Claude Code interactively or using it asynchronously. Great. My favorite part, Let's see what these updates look like in a demo. I'm going to show Claude Code tackling a real dev task in a product that many of you are familiar with. We'll use Excalidraw, an open source whiteboarding tool, and ask Claude Code to implement one of their most requested features, adding a table component. How many of you have gotten that feature request that's been on your backlog for ages, that you know your users would love, but you just haven't had the time to build?
Oh man, these remote agents are taking over.
This is the kind of task that we can handle much faster with Claude Code. Normally, for a task like this, I would set Claude to work, make some coffee, catch up on email and Slack, and come back when the outputs are ready.
Yep.
But I only have 10 minutes with you all today, so let's show a sped up but real workflow. Cool. Here's the Excalidraw repo open in VS Code. Let's write a prompt to tell Claude Code our requirements. We'll ask Claude Code to add a table component that supports custom dimensions, drag to resize, and all of Excalidraw's other styling options. Here's where it gets exciting. Claude Code will first create a to-do list for how it'll approach the entire problem.
It's been doing that for me for a while. That's
we can see that Claude Code will start to explore the code base, starting with the file that we already have open for context. The best part of the IDE integration is the ability to see diffs inline in the editor. This way, you can see the surrounding code for more context. So you can accept changes with confidence or give Claude Code feedback.
That's honestly huge. I'm excited about that feature.
We can approve each edit as Claude Code works, or we can let Claude Code continue making edits with auto-accept
show
mode,
while waiting to edit,
letting us balance visibility and control. In this demo, we gave Claude Code the ability to make edits, run lint and tests, and make PRs. So Claude Code worked for 90 minutes on this task. I wish I could show you the whole thing, but we need to speed things up.
90 minutes?
What you're seeing is actual unedited output from Claude Code.
Holy
An hour and a half later, and it's done. It added table functionality, wrote tests to validate the change, and iterated until lint and test passed. This normally required us to understand the code-based architecture and how every single other tool was implemented. In this case, Claude Code is literally doing hours of work for us. Pretty impressive, right? Now,
90 minutes? I have never had a task run that long.
Now let's run Excalidraw locally
15 minutes.
and just make sure the feature works as we expect. Let's check that we have a fully functional table component by making a 3-row by 3-column table. Great. We can reposition the table. We can drag to resize.
That's impressive.
We can change the border pattern and color. And we can add text to cells. This also integrates with Excalidraw's existing UI. All of this was done with one prompt in Claude Code.
Keep waiting for a clap there. They missed the cue.
Next, we'll ask Claude Code to use the GitHub CLI to create a pull request for this branch. Cool. Let's click in. Now we have our pull request. This is where the Claude Code SDK shines. It lets us build custom workflows on top of Claude Code, including through GitHub Actions. For this PR, I'd like to update the docs. Instead of going back to the IDE, we can just tag @Claude and ask it to update our documentation for us. Behind the scenes, this triggers a GitHub action that runs Claude Code. Claude comments on the PR as it works, and it'll make a commit for us when it's done. You can also tag @Claude on a GitHub issue, and I'll also make a PR for you there. With this feature, Claude Code meets users on even more surfaces where they're already working. Devs no longer need to context switch in their local environment, and you can even kick off runs on the go. This is all built on the Claude Code SDK. Beyond powering GitHub Actions, we've seen customers do incredible things with the SDK, including running many Claude codes in parallel to fix flaky tests, increase test coverage, and even do on-call triage. Cool. It looks like the action is done running. And we can see Claude Code updating its comments to let us know what it did. Let's click into the commit and see Claude's changes. It updated the documentation for us in our PR and committed it without us having to do a thing. In just 10 minutes, you've seen Claude Code tackle a complex task that would have taken days to implement manually, writing hundreds of lines of code, integrating seamlessly with Excalidral's existing features, and doing hours of work for us. All of this is available to you today. Claude Code in GitHub Actions, powered by our SDK, is available in beta, and you can install it by running a simple command on the screen within Claude. The VS Code and JetBrains IDE extensions are also live in beta. Just run Claude from your IDE to install. Last but not least, our latest models, Claude Opus 4 and Claude Sonnet 4, are available to Claude Code users today. Claude Code shows what's possible when AI can truly understand and work with code.
Same. I want
to build powerful agents, whether coding assistants or applications in any domain, you need more than just intelligent models. You need the right platform. Please welcome Michael Gerstenhaber, who will show you exactly how we're making that possible.
Thanks so much, Kat, and good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. I'm Michael Gerstenhaber, head of product for the API platform at Anthropic. How many people here use AI-generated code already to write their applications?
Probably everyone nowadays.
And how many of those are using AI at their core for feature delivery? Like everybody here, that's what I thought. Most applications in the world will be built by people already trying to solve the world's problems. Whether you pass LeetCode whiteboard interviews or getting started with Vibes, we're all software engineers now. But writing code is just the start. You need to more quickly build stable, secure, and maintainable AI applications. And that's why we built the Anthropic platform, a complete toolkit designed for building state-of-the-art AI applications and agents. Our platform is already powering most of the world's AI delivery in every domain. In finance, TurboTax helps millions of customers confidently file taxes with federal tax explainers.
I'm going to run some stuff over to the side on it.
Novo Nordisk is using Claude to draft clinical study reports in less than 10 minutes instead of 15 weeks. And the world's best coding assistants run on our platform.
Awesome.
Each of these companies took Claude's intelligence and turned it into something uniquely valuable for their users. At its foundation, our platform provides reliable access to Claude through our model inference service, which includes the Messages API, and essential tools like prompt caching to optimize performance and costs. Over 50% of all input tokens are cached on the platform, doubling the effective context window for our models. Notion can put vast amounts of your documents in the context window, but maintain snappy, real-time execution. This lets them adopt your voice for creative writing and virtually eliminate hallucination. Starting today, we're extending the cache time to live from 5 minutes to 1 hour.
Thank you for doing that.
Your agents can now maintain complex context across the entire user session without breaking the bank. But that's just the foundation. To build powerful agents, our platform provides powerful building blocks. As Mike shared, we're releasing 2 new capabilities: the Files API and a code execution tool. Just like you and me, there are some problems that are easier to solve by writing a script. Our platform lets your agents write their own code
Oh yeah,
in
Cursor's
production
gonna nerf it
just
hard.
like you would. These new features
They can't
join
afford to
existing
not.
components, like web search for real-time information, and citations for grounding responses in source documents. When Thomson Reuters provides analysis to attorneys in co-counsel, it's critical that they ground this in their legal research, in case law, not in the model's training data. Our platform also connects your agents and your data and business systems through Model Context Protocol. MCP has taken off within our developer ecosystem, with over 3,000 integrations built by the community. Whether your agent is accessing application errors with
and
Sentry,
then no one claps like they're expecting.
triggering Zapier workflows, or creating a Asana task,
like that.
the
It's
MCP
like,
connector enables the model to interact with any tool, data, or app your task requires. And today, the platform makes it even easier by handling all the technical complexity of tool and API calling for you.
Now, I'm super excited about that because
one thing that I want to emphasize about the platform is the composability of the APIs. They're building blocks that work together as well as they work apart, helping to solve unique problems that can't be coerced into a cookie-cutter shape. Think of Claude as the architect and general contractor for your agent. It doesn't execute predefined sequences or stack components randomly. Instead, it intelligently determines which materials you need, in what order, and how they fit together to create something far more powerful than any individual element. Let me show you what I mean. When you build an agent for complex financial analysis, Claude intelligently assesses the task and orchestrates the right tools. Using MCP to access financial data, spinning up code execution for statistical analysis, searching the web for real-time market data, and grounding insights with citations for accuracy and compliance, iterating and refining based on results. No hard-coded workflow, no brittle scripts, just intelligent orchestration that allows you to build powerful agent and seamlessly adopt new capabilities as our research brings them to life. We understand that prompt quality can make or break an AI application, which is why we created dev tools like the prompt improver and evaluations, along with new observability features that help you get to production and scale faster. Today, we're already helping developers build faster with resources like cookbooks and guides that show you how to implement features like memory into your applications. In the future, we'll adapt these for programmatic access and host them directly on the platform so you can build even more powerful agents that can research and remember on their own in production. Everything we've built centers on one goal: helping you ship better AI faster. The Anthropic platform isn't just tools, it's your path to building industry-leading agents. So thank you all for being here today with me at Code with Claude. I'll be on the floor the rest of the conference, but it's my privilege to welcome Mario Rodriguez from GitHub to show you exactly what this looks like in production.
Thank you, Michael. And I am here thrilled to be with you all.
I was expecting Open Router to have it
We at GitHub
immediately.
are incredibly excited to be part of this energy and innovation, and to share more about our deepening partnership with Anthropic, this amazing team. Everything GitHub does is anchored on two core beliefs, right? Number one is giving developers choice. Number two is giving them the best developer experience. At GitHub Universe last year, we kicked off the relationship with Anthropic. We announced Cloud Sonnet 3.5, support in VS Code and also in our conversational experiences.
It's in GitHub
And we
Copilot
did this
already.
because we share fundamental belief with Anthropic that AI can be a powerful force and a force multiplier for developers, augmenting their capabilities, not replacing, augmenting their capabilities, and freeing them up to focus on what they do best, which is imagination and creativity. Part of being a software developer is being a wizard. Since then, we have expanded the partnership and experiences across VS Code, GitHub.com, and our mobile app, just to mention a few. And today, I am delighted to announce that GitHub Copilot supports Cloud Sonnet 4 and Opus 4, available right now. We just pulled the trigger right when Dario announced it, and every one of those tokens.
Just got it. I just hope it's not slow. Like Claude 3.7 is so slow.
That is what sim shipping is all about. Let me tell you, it's really hard to do. I don't know if you've done it with every application that you have done, but it's incredibly hard to do. So thanks to all of the teams that make that happen. Now, as you all surely know, the future of code is what? Agentic. An agent mode in VS Code is our autonomous pair programmer that can perform multi-step coding tasks based on your natural language commands. We've seen firsthand how having Claude's intelligence directly within the editor truly helps developers understand complex code bases, get faster code to production, and increase their productivity without ever leaving the environment they already know, love, and trust. But even that, right, even that is single-threaded. And in my opinion, the future is multi-threaded. You think about it, you're in your editor, it becomes a waiting room. You're going faster, but it's still a waiting room. And that's why on Monday, we took one step further and announced this GitHub's Copilot coding agent.
Oh, we saw that already.
Now, our coding agents, these are autonomous and synchronous peer programmer. Not pair anymore. Now it's your peer programmer embedded directly into GitHub. Copilot's coding agent is currently powered by, you probably guessed it, Cloud Sonnet. And the reason we chose that was very clear to me. So let me just walk you through 3 things that made that decision possible. Number 1, our evaluations showed that Cloud demonstrated 3 main strengths, right? Strong software engineering and coding knowledge, powerful problem solving, and that's very important because sometimes you have to go and look at the code and find the right place to make that edit. And then number 3, excellent instruction following. And specifically when thinking about tools and MCP. So when you're building for agentic coding, dealing with these things in large code bases and system prompts, you also need something else, which is caching, right? And that prompt caching, bless you, the prompt caching support we get from the Anthropic API let us build these experiences in a most cost-effective way. Every token counts, and every token counts also on the price side. So the more we save those, the better experience we could provide our customers. Now, on top of that, Cloud was already the most frequently selected model in agent mode. So once we put all of those things together, it was very clear to us that Cloud Sonnet was the right model choice for agentic coding in GitHub scenarios. Now, with Cloud Sonnet 4, we've seen improvement in all of these areas, not just aggregate benchmarks like suite benchmarks, but more importantly, on our real-world evaluation suites as well. Now, our collaboration goes deeper than this, right? It's not just about integrating models directly. We've been working closely with Anthropic to officially adopt and scale MCP. We're combining intelligence. If you think about this, like these models are incredibly intelligent. You stack like 3 PhDs on them with knowledge. So how do you get knowledge into that intelligent model? Well, the answer to us is MCP and tools. And that really unlocks the next acceleration of developer tools. Recently, Kevin Scott, that's Microsoft's CTO, made the analogy that MCP is like the HTTP protocol of the web. And I completely agree with him. So if you have not adopted MCP, do it today, right after this keynote. Go and play with it. It's that important. It's the way you get knowledge into these intelligent models. Now, as we step into this new era of software development, we're transforming GitHub's platform from an AI-infused into AI-native. From creation to deployment, we envision this SDLC powered by an agentic layer at the top of it that spans that inner, where you are coding, and that outer loop, those asynchronous experiences. And you are going to be an active collaborator every single step of the way. The reason why we say co-pilot is the human is at the center. And then there's agents helping you. That is why we're announcing a new partnership that integrates what Kat just showed you, Cloud Code, and the extensible Cloud Code SDA directly into GitHub's agentic platform. This opens up new possibilities to customize Cloud Code, remotely invoke it from new surfaces that are embedded into GitHub and our workflows. Again, all on the GitHub platform. Now, we've already done a lot, but the journey with Anthropic is still just beginning, in our opinion. We believe that by bringing together GitHub's deep understanding of developers and Anthropic's AI capabilities through Claude and the platform APIs, we will and we can unlock a future that is more intuitive, more efficient, ultimately, more human. That human part is important. So I'm excited to see what we continue to build together and also what each of you builds with us. So thank you so much, and please welcome back to the stage, Mike Krieger. Thank you, sir.
Hello again. And thanks again to Mario, to Michael, and to Kat. I love the GitHub integration. The last project I did, I actually was like, oh, I can actually just install Claude Code into a GitHub code space, and all of a sudden I have Claude Code against a repo that I've already been building. It was really great to hear from each of them and hear all about the exciting work being done with Claude. So to close out the show, I'd like to dive a little bit deeper into Claude 4, our research direction, and what developers can expect next from Anthropic. So please help me welcome back to the stage Dario for our one-on-one conversation. Welcome back, Dario.
Hello again.
Yep,
it's great. It's like our one-on-one in front of the whole audience. This is great. So Claude 4 is out. Claude Sonnet 4 and Claude Opus 4 are available. What excites you the most about the Claude 4 models, and how does it change your thinking about what's possible in the next 12 months?
Yeah, so I think abstractly the thing I'm most excited about is, every time you have a new class of models, there's like more you can do with it, right? So, we're going to be releasing models after Claude 4. There'll probably be a Claude 4.1 at some point, just like we did with Sonnet 3.5, and I think we're just at the beginning of what we can do with the new generation of model. In terms of tasks, I think the autonomy is going to go much further than it has already. Just the ability to set your model free and give it the ability to do something for a long period of time. I think we're very much still at the beginning of that. I'm actually increasingly excited about the models for cybersecurity tasks. I mean, you can think of cybersecurity as like a subset of coding tasks, but they tend to be higher end coding tasks. And so I think we're maybe finally hitting the threshold for that. And then as a former biologist, I'm always excited about use of the models for biomedical and kind of detailed scientific research work, which I think Opus in particular is going to be good. Opus in particular, I think, is going to be particularly strong at that.
It really connects, I think, to Machines of Loving Grace. So how does Claude 4 fit into that trajectory overall? I like to joke that people think of Machines of Loving Grace as an essay, and I think of it as a product roadmap for the next few years, and I'm curious how Claude 4 fits into that journey.
Yeah, it was sort of a product roadmap that I wrote without knowing how to actually get to it, and kind of said, all right, guys, this is your work, this is your job. I think we're increasingly thinking about on the biology side of things, and software is part of that, right? Where, increasing amount, because biology increasingly involves data. It even involved data 10 years ago when I was a biologist. I think more and more of it is going to be, okay, we have these models that know a lot about biology and they can help write code. And so if you're a computational biologist, I think these models will really accelerate what you can do. And we have a number of customers who are trying out the models for these tasks. I guess we'll get to that in a bit.
Yeah, I think one of the first hackathons we did after we released MCP, somebody hooked up MCP to one of those like plotters to do drawing, and so Claude could draw for you. It's actually really fun to see what Claude draws for itself. But it was like the first moment, it was like MCPs don't just have to be connecting to digital systems; they could also be connecting to the real world. So like when you'll be able to drive lab equipment via MCP, I think is an interesting question for the future.
Soon we'll be able to test Claude by connecting it to a polygraph.
Yeah, I love that idea.
Are you lying?
Who needs interpretability when we have the polygraph? You mentioned that moment where you were, convinced that the Claude-written content was human-written. Any other breakthrough moments in watching us all, dog food, Claude 4, or even try it yourself, that made you realize this model felt different?
You know, I didn't actually understand the details, but like there were several people on our side. There was a moment a few weeks before the model launched where someone said, "Oh my God, this model just like one-shotted this like incredibly difficult performance engineering task," and no model had ever done anything like that before. I will say that there's this almost like superstitious process in the model development where like it somehow all comes together at the last moment, even if the training process is all planned out. Like just some of the model's abilities, maybe it's something about their interaction with people, maybe it's something about like just making it the last bit better matters, maybe it's people getting used to the model and prompting it, but you always find the early versions of the model. You know, people are struggling to figure out how to use them, and then you finally get to a point, and people are like, "This works for me all the time."
Slow,
there's that alchemy that happens. Somehow always at the last moment.
I think this
you
is
read
Opus.
the Creativity Inc. by Ed Catmull. He talks about the same process with all the Pixar movies. Like they're really bad until like 2 days before they're supposed to go out. And I feel the same way about our model. Not that they're really bad, but they're not quite there, and then suddenly they click, and we're like, I can't wait to get this out to people.
It doesn't make any sense because like the training process is uniform, and you know you would think that it doesn't work that way, that it's all a rational process, but it's absolutely not.
There's no point on the RL curve where they
come together. It comes together at the last minute. I don't know why.
It's a real moment. Many people in the audience are developers here, and a question that I know has come up internally as people think about how AI is developing is which parts of the software engineering job will AI take over, and what becomes more important in a world where we have autonomous agents being able to do a lot of software engineering?
Yeah, so probably like many people here, I read with great interest Steve Yeage's blog post a couple months ago, "Revenge of the Junior Developer." He had some similar blog posts. He had some similar blog posts around that. He actually came in to visit us even, and that laid out, I think, the vision of where things are going, maybe even better than I could, which is that we're gradually going to more and more autonomy of the models, right? We had this phase where you would do basically autocomplete. Now there's this thing that I guess people have called vibe coding, and then we're going more to kind of like you can dispatch the agents to do things. And I think with Claude Code, we're going to go more in the direction of, you can dispatch the agents to do things, and I'm sure we'll have other product surfaces that allow you to do that as well. And I think we're heading to a world where a human developer can kind of manage a fleet of agents and say, you go off and do this, you go off and do this, you go off and do that. But I think continued human involvement is going to be important for the quality control, to make sure they do the right things, to get the details right. And so, working together on both the models and the product surface around it to get the details right is going to be really important.
I think it's also highlighted to me, it makes the stuff that is inefficient in your work way more painful because it's taking you away from like this flow of building. And so at least this made me realize like where we're spending too much time on cross-functional alignment and road mapping when like we just should be trying to get more building. So it's it's become more painful as the engineering part has been sped up as well. So there's endless debate, around the industry around, bigger models or smaller architectures, which will win in the long run. You're famous for, popularizing and pioneering the scaling laws paper. What's your current take on, the extreme being, is pre-training dead? Is pre-training all that matters still, and its role, relative to post-training?
I mean, without getting too specific, I would say that, the Claude 4 models embody advances in both pre-training and post-training. So we're continuing to see the pre-training scaling laws work the way that they've worked before, and we're also continuing to see continued advances in post-training, and they kind of complement each other. And I think we're going to continue seeing advances in both of those. I think we're also going to continue to scale up. So we have these multiple trends, these multiple sources of exponential growth, and they're all going to compound with each other, right? That's why I think all of this is going to go very fast. One of the reasons I liked Yeage's blog post is that it was someone who was not me repeating the mantra of like it's only going to be a year or two until these things are like are basically peers to us.
It's insane that 3.7 was just in February, right? It feels like a year ago, but it was just 3 months ago.
I know it. It feels like it's like, oh, this feels like an obsolete model or something. And it was less. It's like 2.5 months or something. It's like the time scales are compressing. I often say that being in the AI field, I will go on a very brief digression. Being in the AI field, it feels like you're getting on a spaceship leaving Earth at relativistic speeds.
It
and
really does.
you know, one day you wake up and you know it's like, you know, one day on your spaceship, 2 days on Earth. So you have to take in the news of 2 days. It accelerates, one day on your spaceship, 3 days on Earth. And you know, that's just what it feels like being on this ride.
That resonates. I hadn't heard the metaphor before, but it absolutely does. Maybe on the post-training front, one of the things that I got really excited about seeing developed in Claude 4 has been this concept of memory and having the model being able to manage its memory. Maybe talk a sec about why that's important and what that kind of enables.
Sorry, repeat the question.
So, like, for the model to be able to manage its own memory and be able to handle those long horizon tasks as well.
Yes, we have found that to be very useful. I think one place we found it to be useful is Pokemon, right? Yes. Where the model's able to like remember its state, but you know, presumably it's useful for many things other than just Pokemon. No, I think it's great that you know the model, you know, just as a human would like. When I'm thinking, I'll write a bunch of notes, and you know, then I'll like recall those notes at a later time, or you know, there's just a lot of intermediate work that I have to do. That you know, and models do that to some extent when they reason, when they have you know like our reasoning traces. But you know, not everything I do can be incorporated in one scratch pad, right? There's like presentations, there's you know individual documents that I write, and so models are the same, right? The idea for them to kind of you know be able to create files, to do things with those files, to load data, and to kind of seamlessly interleave those things, right? The one of the new features that we have is this kind of interleaved reasoning and taking actions. And some of those actions can be storing data, recalling data. Again, the affordances that the models have are gradually converging towards the affordances that a human has, which I think is the way that it should be.
One of my mind-blowing moments in Claude 4 so far was we added like basically a to-do list scratch pad to Claude Code, and just watching it churn through the to-do list, and then as it thought of more things to do, add to the to-do list, check things off, strike out what was no longer relevant. It really mimicked, I think, how people manage their own work and how they think about completion along the way. And then the interleaved reasoning and tool use as well. I saw a write-up this morning on Mac Stories where it was using a tool, it was an MCP, and it hit a rate limit with the backend MCP server. And because it was doing the reasoning, it was along the way, I was like, I probably hit a rate limit. Let me try this other approach to do this as well. And so like that ability to reason and remediate as part of tool use, I think is really powerful.
Yeah, thinking about...
I'd love to touch on race to the top. So safety and capabilities are often, you know, thought of as being at odds with each other, and your thesis is exactly the opposite, and that these two things can move in tandem. I found that very inspiring, and one of the reasons I joined here. But maybe touch on how you think of race to the top.
Yeah, so you know, I think it applies to things, you know, from the very mundane and simple and commercial to kind of you know the grand directions that AI is going in the future. So you know, I think when we talk to customers, we have a number of customers who you know care a lot about making sure that the behavior of their AI models is predictable, that it's trustworthy, and I think that's aligned with what what we're trying to do in the long term for you know making sure that models in a more grand sense stay in line with human intent. So there's this nice synergy here, and you know I think whenever we're able to do so, whenever we think it's reasonable or responsible to do so, we do want to provide tools for the community. So MCP is an example of that. I myself was actually surprised at the pace at which everyone seems to have standardized around MCP. I mean, it was very strange. We released it in November. I wouldn't say there was like a huge reaction immediately, but then within 3 or 4 months, it kind of become the standard. Again, there's this feeling of like being on the spaceship accelerating from Earth and you know experiencing you know larger and larger time dilation constants.
Yeah.
Where it's you know like you know think of like USB and other standards. You know think of like standards in the 90s or the like you know it would take years for people to converge on something.
Yeah, and even in talking to other participants in the industry around MCP, they're like, we don't want to slow down whatever is working on MCP. Like we do want to like some you know help on steering.
I'm gonna lower that a little bit.
Yeah,
thinking about like when I'm going to review this, I can run the evals today. Opus seems really slow. Like I'm actually running a couple over here on the left, on my left monitor.
You have a background in
I'm not sure how long it's going to
well.
actually take me to run all of them, to be honest. Because if it's this slow, it might take quite a few hours to get through it all.
So,
and then I actually do want to retest it against like updated, like the latest Claude 3.7 in root code too, just to make sure there's no variance there.
And indeed,
I could probably do that in the next like 24 hours, and then I would probably want to use the model quite a bit before I gave like my actual real world use case on it.
And I found at a high level there's some inspiration, but I wouldn't say I've said, oh, this is how the this thing we know from the hypothalamus.
I'm just surprised that they put Opus in Claude Code. Honestly, I was expecting that to be the Claude 4 Sonnet.
It's pretty much from scratch. But interestingly, things have gone the other way more, which is that using interpretability, we're able to see inside models. And although, of course, they're not made in exactly the same way the human brain is.
So, like, what AI model are you? It's telling me that
kind of superficial level.
Kind of surprised that they gave the very expensive model to Claude Code.
Sometimes
it kind of makes it a little interesting.
Replicated in neuroscience research. There was something about like high-low frequency.
And then augment code is for sure Sonnet, because I was actually doing some tests over here.
Via interpretability, via one of the people on Isola's team. And then a couple of years later, a neuroscientist actually replicated it in
what AI model are you?
The idea
it told
that,
me Sonnet
example,
4 before. Let's see if it's still telling me that.
Separate out, they have one.
Well, now it's telling me Sonnet 3.5. That's great.
That tends to
so it switched on me in the middle there.
And another path that corresponds to
That's
brightness or to the boundaries between objects.
Let me try.
These seem to be natural
actually very
distinctions
confusing
in the world, right? That are kind of there to be discovered. And anytime you have any kind of abstract learning system,
I wonder if they like unwound it because of now it's 3.7.
You kind of discover the same thing.
So it's told me 3.5, 3.7, and 4. All right, I guess.
Let's move into the 5 to 10 year time horizon.
Augment code, I have no idea, buddy.
To the extent that's
crazy.
Possible in AI as we move relativistically. Maybe relativistically, that's probably 1 year in real time.
I'm gonna mute that for a second, just so we can kind of chat about actual code stuff we care about here. I'm super interested in. Here, let me show. I'll show you some of the stuff that I do for evals. Eval _1. So what I typically do is these like long running tasks. I have quite a few of them. Actually, what did I break? Well, that's interesting. I've never had my quick grade fail. I'm gonna have to figure out what's going on there. Opus, that's odd in this file. Well, I guess I can't run that until I debug that some. Let me see what everyone's saying over here in chat. Pop this over. Yeah, I keep checking. Let me pull over this one. Checking root code. Maybe they've got. They don't. What's updated right now? Oh, Augment's got another update. Maybe they patched something. No, that's just I didn't refresh this one yet. So let's do this now. What AI model are you using now? It tells me it's 4. It says agents are using 4. That's not what I was asking, but that's interesting. I do actually use all those models in production, so that was kind of funny that it answered me from that question. Don't write code. What AI model are you? Supposedly this should be 4, but it's 3.5. Unless it's hard coded and it hasn't, not telling me correctly. I have no real good way to verify that. Okay, so they pushed this message early then. If it's roll out within the next 45 or 48 hours. So for Claude Code, someone mentioned to me that if I go outside of the terminal, so if I'm like here, for example, so let me go code. I passed it. Code. That one is fine. WSL into that. Someone mentioned that if you do it outside of VS Code, it's actually a different version. So I want to see if that's true here. Now in VS Code, it'll tell me it's Opus, Claude 3 Opus. Or Claude 4 Opus. Yeah, so Claude Opus 4 is what it tells me here. It seems like it's everywhere for Claude Code. Dude, that's amazing. Thank you. I never paid attention to that status command. I was actually doing like model, but I was like, I don't want to change my model. Actually, can I change the model while I'm here? Use the best available model for max usage limit. So that's what it's doing. They've changed this now. Or it's been here and I never paid attention to it, and all the time I've used it. I mean, I don't think they even had Opus as like a thing that people cared about before, so it probably didn't matter. Super, super interesting. And then let me kick off another eval over here off to the side, just to kind of show the speed of this thing real quick. I'm going to grab eval 2. This is an easier eval, so it should do a pretty good job here. But we'll go ahead and kick this in. So basically, I have evals on like web, Python, C++. I'm working on one for Rust. I know a lot of people like Rust. This is a very basic like Python one. The goal is, so eval 1 that I have is a little bit harder. Basically, no AI has ever gotten that one fully functional, but they get close. Eval 2, typically people can, or I mean, AI can actually get that one working. All right, let me pull up. No need to monitor. I just can't believe they gave us Opus in Claude Code. That's probably not going to be long-lived. I'm super curious. I mean, the things I'm most interested in probably aren't as interesting to everybody. But, so this is my dev environment here. If what I'm doing, we have these like real-time connections with Shopify that I've been working on. And what I can do is I can actually go look up products on a Shopify store for whatever brand has it installed. And they talked about having MCPs built into the, like, controlled via the API, or controlled via the API. And Shopify actually has an MCP server that I'd have to find the actual documentation on, but they actually have an MCP server where you can connect to a store and get product information, inventory information, pricing, and stuff like that, where I've actually had to build that currently. Snowboards I have in stock. This is all dev stuff, but it's actually connected to a real dev store. So I was thinking, like, if I could actually not have to build the MCP stuff myself and actually just use it via the API, it actually would be kind of neat. So when this is happening, it's actually doing function calls. So that's my code in the background running. So there it goes. It's actually running there and looking it up. So I'm actually excited about that, even though, like I said, a lot of people probably don't care about that. But yeah, check out like how slow Opus is right now, and that's probably to be expected. I mean, it is the big boy model, very expensive. But like if I had to run, this is like one of my quicker evals to run. If I had to run them all at this speed, it would be kind of painful. So I'll probably run them initially. I'll probably switch to Sonnet 4 and run them there if that's faster. Because that literally the eval 1 took basically as soon as they announced it, I kicked it off, and it took forever to get through that. And I run multiple iterations over all of these, so it would take me probably an entire day to pass the Opus ones. Really? So it's good with your test, self-taught AI dev. That's awesome. Honestly, Claude Code has become just the thing that I use all the time, and I love it built into my. It's not built in. I love running it into my terminal, right in VS Code. The fact that they're going to add a little bit more capabilities where you can actually see, like diffs in the VS Code editor before you actually approve anything is actually pretty sweet. In my mind, I think Claude Code for $100 a month is kind of a steal. I was literally, when I was using Claude Code early on and doing it via the API, I was burning $20, $30 a day at times, and I just couldn't afford to keep doing that. But at a fixed price of $100, and actually I'm still on the $200 a month plan, so that might also have something to do with it. I've downgraded for next month. We'll see what happens there. But it just seems like such a good steal right now. It's amazing. And to me, the sweet spot, I know not everyone wants to pay for all this, but I actually love having augment code. So my setup is usually augment code on the right, GRU code I'll typically have on the left over here. And then I'll be doing stuff that's, I have a mode in here I call pair programmer, which I probably talked about way too much. So I don't actually have that in this particular one. Let me open up my, this is the one that I typically am working in here. So I have a pair program in here. I love keeping this over here on the left and then running through, like ideating on things that I need to be working on. I'll typically point it at a file, and then I'll take Claude Code to actually do the grunt work for it. And then augment I use typically for the code base context. So if there's a bug that I'm really struggling with, I'll use augment to kind of help me kind of piece through what's actually happening, understand the flow of stuff through the application, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm actually curious about GitHub Copilot. Let me load up my what I've got over here. Get rid of this. Let's run the same thing that's running here in GitHub Copilot on Claude 4. Let's see here. Agent. We'll do the Sonnet version. So there's a little bit of a terminal. And that should be able to run. Get rid of augment over here on the right too. Okay, so sorry, I've been rate limited. I guess I'll need to bring my own key, which I do for some. These are the bring my own key ones. I wonder if I can just add. Wait, where did I add those? I think I have them in OpenRouter actually. Yeah, is Claude 4 up there yet? No. Ooh. All right. Thanks, Copilot. Oh wait, it's working now. I got unrate limited. So let's see if it's in Windsurf actually. Do I still have it at see, put Windsurf open. Might have to do an update here. Let me check. I don't want that. Checking for update. Oh, it's downloading an update. Cool. I'm assuming it's just not going to pop in there. By the way, these Sui models, while they're free, if you're looking for cheap and you happen to have pay for Windsurf, like you can't really beat those. Those do pretty well for the price of them of being free. If I was on an extreme budget, I totally would use Sui 1 Lite and the big boy Sui 1. right, let's restart that. Oh my god, these rate limits. I don't think I'll be able to run it in Copilot until I get it. Oh my gosh, yes. Have I tried remote agents in Augment? I freaking love them. I'll show you some of the agents that I do here. I don't know how many people have access to it, but I'll archive a bunch. But you can see they've changed the UI on me. That must have updated. Here, switch to icons. Must mean something. Local chat. Hold on. But anyway, yes, I have ran a lot of remote agents. They used to have the thing where I could actually just see my list of remote agents. They've threw me off now on the UI. I have I probably ran like 20 or 30, and I typically will run 2 or 3 a day. I'm using this in combination with Codex currently. All right, let's see if we got Claude 4. I would assume they would just add it to there, but not totally sure. If it put it in the provider area here. Oh, they don't have it. That's one thing about Windsurf. Like, even the Gemini 2.5 Flash, unless there's like something here. Unless there's something that I don't know about. Like, I don't know why they don't have Gemini 2.5 Flash, for example. Oh, is there a drop down? Let me go back over there. Remote agents. Apparently, I have archived all but one currently. This one seemed to have failed on me. But yes, remote agents are awesome. I actually wonder how they're going to compete with Codex, though, because what I like about Codex is basically the ability to be able to do it from anywhere. So I'm out, I'm out at the store or something, and I get a message from a customer, and they're like, "Hey, I'm having this issue." I already kind of know what the problem is, so I can go ahead and talk to Codex and tell it to start working on something for me. I can check its results and look at the diffs on it, and I can come back home, test it real quick, and then I'm done. It's pretty sweet. Yeah, Windsurf is, I really like the Windsurf team, by the way. I'm a big fan of what they're doing. Like, great guys. I've talked to a few of them over there already. But I will say they're a little bit slower, so I feel like you've got companies that are like pushing the boundaries of things. I think what they're doing is they're kind of following along. But honestly, they just got bought by OpenAI. There's probably no rush for them to go and push out an Anthropic model. Anthropic probably didn't even approach them about it, so they probably didn't even know what was happening. I know Meta is Meta, I have no idea what is going to happen with them. They delayed their behemoth. It feels like I'm going to get one tool call at a time. Okay. All right. Thank you, Copilot. Until you add it to the API for me. Jeez. That's so unfortunate. Oh, well. I think Windsurf's great, honestly. If all your projects are in Windsurf, I don't think you're going wrong by that. It's just, they just seem a little slower. And then, I really do want to be able to test their agent with models like Gemini 2.5 Flash, but I just can't do that. So when I'm doing a comparison with like root code and other models that are happening, like if I wanted to do Windsurf and Cursor and like compare all of those and how they work, I just can't always do that with Windsurf, unfortunately. I could totally see Windsurf and Claude Code being a killer combination, to be honest. I kind of feel bad because early on I wasn't a fan of Windsurf at all. I felt like their agent wasn't that good, and I felt like it had way too restrictive of a pricing with the way that they were doing things. They fixed the pricing. They've launched their own model, which is actually very comparable to, I'd say like Gemini 2.5 Flash, if I were to guess. Maybe even slightly better than Gemini 2.5 Flash. And I've become a fan. I'm excited about these like hyper-focused models. Like as coders, we don't need these like generalist models. that can do everything. I'd rather a model very focused on just coding and then make it so freaking good at like diffing and tool calling and all that stuff. That's all we freaking need. Yeah, honestly, I feel bad for people that can't afford Claude Code because it is an absolute massive deal. It's just, I can't even explain. You know, you go from spending $30, $40 a day sometimes if you're really grinding straight up Claude to a very fixed price. Such a steal. Such a steal. Yeah, $100 for Claude Max. So you're on the $100 plan now. I'm going to that next month because I'm trying to test out a bunch of other stuff. Do you ever hit limits on the $100? I'm on the 200 and I've never hit a single limit, which I would assume was the case. But on the $100 plan, I'm slightly worried to see what that ends up being like. I'm okay if I have to upgrade again, but I feel like with Codex, Augment, Root Code, I'll never hit a limit on it. So you do hit limits on the $100. Okay. Then I probably will too then. Is it just for a few hours of a limit or is it... Okay, half an hour. I can work with that. Actually, let's take a look at... I mean, what do you guys think about the pricing? I mean, so Claude 4 API pricing. So, you know, one of the things that... I mean, this is just so expensive, and the context window is small. I'm really curious how this works long term. Like, if I can use it in Claude Code, I'll continue doing that to see what it ends up looking like. But that just seems small for a big model like that. But it's so surprising to me. Where's Claude 3.7? Did they move it down here? That the price stays the same. So Claude Sonnet 4, the price stayed the same. Prompt caching right and prompt caching, that stay the same? Yep. Yeah, so you have a similar flow to me, Web Expert, because I use Augment, Claude Code, and Root Code is what I'm typically doing. Yeah, actually, let's just go into the browser and try out Opus in here. I have a bunch of prompts that I put together. That's my own one. My marketing eval. Grab some like complex prompts here that I've ran in the past. And let's see what it can do right in the browser. All right, which one do I want? I want something kind of fun. I don't think this is going to work, but this is a very basic, it's not actually basic. This is one that I've never had a model actually be able to successfully do. Oh, come on. Please don't be some sort of error here. Okay, it's still working. And I'm going to go pop up something. It doesn't appear like it's a thinking model. I bet you if I did, let's try another one. If I do something like ultra think to solve this problem. Let's see if that can trigger some thinking. Unless they're hiding all of the, there it goes. That might have been like the thinking indicator. Tell it to develop a physics particle model. Yeah, honestly, that's the trick. I use that all the time in Claude Code too. It actually helps a lot, as odd as that sounds. So I actually on the Augment code, I need to pay attention to that. I've never noticed that, but honestly, I'm running a AMD 7800 X3D. I've never hit. What I hit more than anything is memory usage problems, even at 64 gigabytes of RAM. Because let me see, I'll show you kind of what's going on here. I typically will have way too many IDEs open. Chrome is a freaking beast. Like, look at that. It's crazy. So it's definitely a slower model, Opus is. Actually, they're both running slower, but they're getting hammered right now. So I hate saying this about Augment because I'm a really, really big fan of them. And I really love Augment Code, but I've become, I feel like we're really in this weird dichotomy right now because there are companies that are pushing forward so fast. So like Codex comes out and changes. It's not perfect. None of them are, but it makes it does such a great job solving problems, working through the code base. Like I've tried very vague things in Codex and it'll go and figure out what to do. So Augment Code, I think the expectations that I've had for Augment Code is its context engine has always been top notch, and I still think it is. But I feel like it makes dumb decisions, which I can't pin down on if it's a new thing or if it's just everything else has gotten a little bit better, that I've put higher expectations on Augment Code. So I don't know. I feel like we're in this weird situation where everything's moving so quick that a lot of times when we think something's got worse, it's actually not worse, if that makes sense. Or maybe it is actually worse, but it's hard to tell. I don't even know. I don't know how to kind of orient that around in my brain because I don't know if you guys feel the same way, but I feel like every day something new is coming out, and it's just absolutely insane what we are, like, the progression that we're having now. And my favorite thing is the people that don't think that AI coding is going to be a thing. Like I know some people that are just scared of it, don't trust it. But the truth of the matter is, like, you can't put the genie back in the bottle. So you either got to embrace it or you need to go become a farmer or something completely different. All right, I'm going to run this one over here, see what Opus does for this one. Again, I've never actually had anyone actually make this work. I may have to turn my camera off to see if I can run this. So if it actually doesn't crash. Let's see here. So apparently there is a problem with it. Let's see here. Trying to mix. Oh, let me do this in WSL. It'll be better. 3. I should have just started in Linux today, honestly. So yeah, Investor's Haven. I honestly, before I end my day, I kick off 3 or 4 tasks on remote agents or Codex, and I come back in the morning and I've got stuff to start reviewing in the morning. It honestly, it just changed everything for me. I'm installing some libraries here. I need to upgrade Python in WSL. Lame. Let me see what this one ended up coming with. Let's see if this one's easier to run. That one's got some weird stuff going on with it. Okay. But I don't know. It might not be able to pick up my camera because this one's on. So I'm going to try to pop it off real quick. Let's do this. And we'll rerun that. So the Sonnet one ran right away. The Opus one did not. Okay, so start camera, sunglasses. Work at all. Now I do have, like, unfortunately, lots of cameras, so it's probably, yeah. This is one I've never been able to get working without multiple iterations. But the what I really want for this is, like, to be able to get to the point where I can just overlay funny things. So I think it's gonna be frozen now. Cancel that. Oh well. All right, let's see what you guys are saying over here. Yeah, compact command's amazing. Questy has Sonnet 4 already. I wonder if that shows up in root code. Check that. I love the GitHub Copilot has it, but you can't actually use it. Maybe it's going to do stuff now. And let's go check this. Approved. I want to see how far along it is. So is this? Not bad, actually. Yeah, they were talking about the memory bank, which apparently is going to be automated. And again, if I go back to, like, what I'm building in here, I'm actually really curious about that, because one of the things that I really want to be able to do is I actually am working on my own memory system, and I may still just build my own. But the idea is behind it, like, if I tell the AI something important about my brand, I'd like to capture that and have that as something that could be in context for it. So the brand would be like, hey, I actually don't like to, and this is probably beyond what you guys care about, but the brand could be like, hey, I actually don't like to use that particular word, or I actually like this kind of language better. And then if I can capture that as part of the conversation flow, I can make my entire experience here a lot better for it. So I'm super interested in that, but it does limit me to just Claude APIs, where right now I'm using a combination of, I mean, I don't know if you were here earlier, but I'm using a bunch of different models throughout here. Because what I do is I have my own set of evals that I run across all of my prompts, and then I score them. So I intermix, like, models basically to do the things that's most important. Like, some models are better at, like, building a plan. Some models are better at building the email. Some models are better at building, like, copywriting and that type of stuff. I mean, I think Claude 4 is going to be totally fine. I'll have to use it for a day or so. Right now, it seems to be kind of, I don't know, slow and overloaded, but that's just the nature of it, honestly. So it's doing back testing. So it actually, the Claude 4 Sonnet, this one. Interesting, though. Boom. Not that great. I haven't been, like, blown away yet by anything that's created. Let's do something that I know exactly will work, or it should work. So we're gonna grab, let's do a couple of these real quick here, because here, one of my favorite to do, and you guys are, is how well it can actually make a, I'll actually kick off a couple, because I actually think we'll kick this one off too, because this is one of my favorites as well. Got there. So this is going to be ran in Opus. And this one is running in Opus as well. So we'll do traffic simulation and we'll do a full game. That was cool. So they're definitely doing some thinking there. Let's take a look at what the benchmarks actually show on these while that's running. The Claude 4 benchmark. Probably have it in here. All right, go to the charts. No charts. No. Benchmarks. Cool. Might be on this one. Here we go. So this is SweBench verified. Yeah, I honestly, OpenAI Codex, I'm not surprised to see it like this. I have really good luck with that. Do you think you have to enable it even if you tell it to? Let me open up a new chat here. I think it's a hybrid model, isn't it? To where it actually picks it up based on the prompt. Because even here, they haven't even specified whether it's a thinking version or not. So I'm assuming it's just like auto. So with parallel test time compute, it goes to 80.2, 79.4. Otherwise, it matches basically what OpenAI Codex is. Open settings and turn on. I see. Yep, you're right. That's weird that they'd have it kind of behind the scenes like that. So let's do that same prompt with thinking on too. Good call on that, buddy. I've gotten so far out of the IDE now that I'm always in the, or out of the website now. So this is actually thinking when it has that message, but it's just doing, it didn't do as much as I thought it was going to do, to be honest. Let's go here and do the same one here, just to see if there's any difference in them. All right. I hope this one works. Oh, that's actually pretty good. This is kind of odd. You know, just, you can see that flicker there. Kind of back and forth. What? Oh. That's actually bad. Let me see what the thinking version does, but that's terrible physics compared to other models that I've seen. Whoa. Huh. Very nice, like, layout, very nice numbering, but horrible physics. I'm gonna see. Broke now. So this one is Opus non-extended thinking. While the other two are running, we're gonna take Opus non-extended thinking. That's actually unimpressive. I have to run that a few more times. All right, this is the city traffic simulator. I wonder why, if they're going to handle. Okay, so we've got some crash that's about to happen here. They're going to just never move in this situation again. This is something that happens in a lot of models when they do that. They're like the congestion and it just never moves. This is interesting. We won't let Opus design our traffic light system. Okay, make sure this one's done. Okay, so this is going to be extended think traffic simulation. I want to see if there's more code. Almost 100 lines more code. Not that that's indicative of anything. This is what the thinking version looks like. My car is moving sideways. Or I just got a little squish car. Interesting. Definitely not the best one that I've seen. These two are going to these are going to start traffic jamming now. Okay. We might have to try Sonnet actually. Instead of Opus. Maybe it'll be better at this. Okay, this is the extended thinking pool game version. It looks very similar. A little bit different style here. The board's a little bit smaller. We don't have the flickering turn number here. There we go. Actually, much better. Like we got like a power meter, but the truth will be physics. Oh man, yes. So Opus 4 thinking actually nailed physics. Let me see if I can actually get the ricochets correctly. Yep, not bad. Not bad at all. This is Opus 4 with extended thinking turned on. Much, much, much better. Same issue though. So let's run some tests with the same prompt, but let's do it with Sonnet 4, and we'll keep extended thinking on. What happened? Oh, 2.5 Pro. Let's run it again. Honestly, I feel like they made Gemini 2.5 Pro worse, but so I don't want to even say, but it did a phenomenal job originally, back when it was the March version of it. Yeah, I agree. Although right now they have me in Opus in Claude Code, which I find odd. I think I might switch to Sonnet. Yeah, that's the thing, David. Is like a lot of that is very known. Very, very known. You would think that they should be able to get it right nearly 100% of the time, but it's very rare. I have some other ones that I've been working on. These probably will not run at all. Okay, so this is Sonnet 4. Let's take a look if it can nail it. Actually more code, which is odd. Okay, so this is Sonnet 4. We actually have both players scored. Let's see how the all right, so I'm assuming the line is going to point where it needs to go. It's probably going to shoot to the left though. Oh my god, yeah. That's funny. We need to let's move this guy over. I need to speed up that a ton. This actually looks nicer though. Decent physics. Just can't put enough pressure on it. You see it bouncing off in there. I think if you added more force in there, it'd be pretty good. This actually looks a lot better. Probably pretty easy to adjust the initial speed too on it. Let's see if they have a constant for it. They've got a pretty high friction number on it. Anyway, this does seem, because like one of the things that's really tough to do is when you actually try to put a ball in like split two, the way it kind of like chairs that looks really, really nice actually. And then let's see if Gemini finished yet, and I'll show you guys what the latest Gemini is. Okay. Slightly less code. Yeah, so this is Gemini. Oh. Yep, I did it backwards. Oh, that's awful. Man, I tell you, they definitely. This is only, again, it's a one-time thing. I haven't played with the temperature or not, but I feel like they've made Gemini 2.5 Pro worse because this used to be flawless. It looks great though. This is a great design. This is honestly what happens a lot with physics with these things because it's so complicated because of the way you have to calculate if you hit two balls at the same time, how that actually bounces off. It's a very, very tricky like math to do. This is kind of very common, honestly. Very, very common. All right, I have a couple others I can throw in here real quick that are kind of cool. If that'll actually work. I want to find one that's copy. All right. Extended thinking on, Claude 4 Sonnet. I'm going to run. I need to go into the IDE to actually try some of these more complicated ones. I have like an autonomous drone flight simulator, procedural dungeon crawler game, the basic one. Dude, the comments by Gemini is awful. Absolutely awful. Pro 2.5 Pro, in my personal opinion, and in my tests that I run, has gotten worse across the board with the latest update. The 03, what was it? 0325 model was, I would say, better on almost every front for how I use that model. Now, that may not be true for everyone, but I was very sad. Oh, this is not good. Interesting. I guess it's just gonna, it doesn't have as much style as like Claude 3.7 Sonnet. Actually crazy. All right, I'm gonna go into here. Did it actually finish? No, it got rate limited again. Oh, I just want you to continue. Do everything. Look at what this generated. Oh, we got some updates. This might just be in an editor. It was already open. Yeah, the problem with Claude 3.7 is, even with running evals on it, is my specs are like hyper specific. That thing is worked right now. So let me go into here. Dang, like everything's lagging right now on my computer. What is going on? Need to kill some of these. You know what it is? I need to kill. This is a screen recorder that that's my displays did not come in properly. I don't have 1718. That's not the name of them. But this one was built by Claude 4 Opus. It actually did pick up my audio devices. And if I enable my camera, I don't know. I don't know if that's actually going to do anything. I crashed, or it's doing something. So I cannot use Claude Max in root code, unfortunately. But I was playing around with a mode that allowed me to call Claude API commands from root code, which I thought was kind of interesting. Yeah, I may have actually overdone it a little bit there. See which one of these is killing me. This guy. All those VS Code instances here. All right. So I do have a Mac. I also have Linux dual booted on here. Dual booted on here. But I don't know. So my background, when I started programming professionally in 2004, 2005, was in game development. So it's very much honestly, I was doing like AI back before AI was cool. So very much like C++ and everything back then was all Windows. So I remember going to like Windows XP, and we had like 2 gigabytes of RAM, and we thought that was a big deal back then. And then I trained on Windows, and Windows has honestly gotten so good with WSL that there's very few cases where I actually feel like I need to do something else. Let's check cursor. Probably have to update that too. Check for updates. This is the repo that somebody in the Discord, God of AI, actually created, where it's like a pretty large MCP server, and I was playing around with it in cursor. That's what loaded up there. Claude 4 and Opus is max only. What is the context limit of Claude 4 though? Cursor. They're not going to have information on it, I bet you. That's definitely look at this AI answer. This is totally can't be right. Otherwise, cursor typically limits context to the AI around 10,000 tokens. That's funny. Claude 4, 120K. So more than Claude 5, at least. Yeah, that is incredibly wrong. And I could go on about this cursor. They have such a great opportunity here. The problem isn't even the max thing. It's if I go to cursor.com and I go into pricing. Let's see if they've updated it. Yeah, they at least added max mode here now. But the problem is if I don't understand how AI works and I don't really dig in to what this is doing, I'm going to be like, oh, 20 bucks a month? Sweet, I get 500 requests. I can use the best model. And then you get in there and you realize like all of them are nerfed. And then you have this like max mode that you have to enable, which then charges you per tool call. It's just odd, honestly. Windsurf changed. Honestly, I had the same complaint about Windsurf back in the day. Windsurf's pricing, let me show you what there is. I will say on the positive side for Cursor, they announced the bring your own key. I think that is great because what they really should do is make it very clear here for $20 a month, you get I don't want a gimped version of the model, make it very, very clear. And then when you get in, you can just turn on pay per use, either using your own key or using their thing, like simplify the entire thing down. So they have 500 prompt credits, which are equivalent to 2000 GPT-4.1, 4 prompts per credit. So they don't do any tool calling fees. So, and if you add on credits, you buy it in bulks of like $10, and it's you typing something in. Now, they do still nerf the context window, and I don't think they're very transparent about that either, to be honest. I agree with you, Tin, on the you get charged as much as you use API-wise, but to me, it's not the point. The point of it is the transparency. Like, I have no problem with paying. Like, I pay $200 a month for Codex. I pay $200 a month for Claude Code. What I don't like is deceptive sales practices, and I feel like Cursor sold me something and then changed it after the fact, which a lot of companies are doing, and I get it, but don't tell me that I get access, because it used to say get access to the top models, Claude 3.5, Claude Sonnet, all that stuff. So that's my only complaint there. Yeah, honestly, software is better. I wonder about the job market too. Like, is it actually impacting people hiring currently? Yeah, I agree with you. Investors saving Claude Code is just too good of a value. In a tool meant for general public, I'd say it's okay default strategy to have a safety harness that nerfs the content. Yeah, I agree, Seb. My big thing is just make it clear to me that that's what's happening. So if I search on here, there's nothing on this page that tells me that my context window is nerfed. So if I were like, I work with engineers that aren't as in tune with AI as I am, and they're going to look at this and be like, why would you use anything else? I pay $20 a month. So you'll see people say this. But the fact that you get limited so hard and it's not told you clearly, I think is my problem. Yeah, Rod, I actually think the same thing. I think if you can get coders that are like deep into AI and are using remote agents and things like that, they can be so much more effective. Dude, my sleep schedule is so jacked up. Investors heaven, it's real. It's really about finding the right engineers, because like I said, I came from a company, so I've been a mainly startup. So I joined the last company I joined. We were like Series B, we took it public, and then the company got big and political, and so I ended up leaving. Started a new company that I'm working on now. A lot of the people back at that company that I talked to are like anti-AI. They don't trust it. They don't think they should use it. And then a good number of them, like I was talking to a couple at lunch the other day, and they were telling me, I was asking, what are they using? They're like, oh, we're using Cursor. I'm like, oh, what models are you using? They're like, I don't know. I just have it on auto. What engineer would keep their agent on auto in Cursor? Just blows my mind. And maybe I'm just being too crazy about that, but I was like, okay. And I was asking like, what? I was like, have you tried Claude 3.5 or 3.7? They're like, I don't even know what that is. There are actual technical people out there that use auto mode and have no idea what models are or context windows. And I was talking to someone, and I was telling them like, I'm really liking the Gemini 2.5 Pro model back the March one. And I was like, the 1,000,000 token context limit is just amazing. And they said, oh, I think Claude has that too. And then they start talking about in kilobytes. I'm like, no, we're talking about tokens. I'm like, no, Claude's at 200K tokens. Gemini 2.5 Pro is 1 billion. It's just so funny to me. I think you're right, Ted. I think that's 90% of people. I think it's just bizarre to me that other people aren't there. That if I was coming out of school today and I had all the tools that are out there, like I feel like I would never sleep and I would just be learning everything I could about AI, the inner working of it. I would just be so infatuated with it, like I am now, on actually using it and trying to learn as much as I can. But it's just so crazy to me. I've had a few comments where people are like, you should just learn to code. Honestly, I think AI makes you a better coder because there's a few things to it. One, you remember when you start coding, like when you're younger, and you just literally, I did this, so maybe you guys didn't do this, but you'd have a problem. Rather than sit down and kind of plan out what you need to do, you just start writing code, and by the end, you've got like some mess of something that kind of works, but you had no plan for how it was going to come together. Like that's kind of like what a college student does, right? What AI kind of forces you to do is to understand the architecture at a higher level. You should be like when you're talking to AI, in my opinion, you should be saying like what exactly you want to do. I want you to create this thing. I want you to make it do these things. I want you to do, these kind of tests on it. And it makes you think through the bigger picture of it, which at the end of the day is like the most important thing is the product works. It's not the code that actually runs it. It's that it does the thing you want it to do. Exactly. You can think at a higher level of abstraction. All right, so let's go back and take a look at, I actually want to try this in Opus real quick. And I wonder if not thinking is better. I haven't decided. I did not notice that on the benchmark page. Let me go down here. So agentic coding, we verified, okay. Agentic terminal coding. Terminal bench 2.5. I don't think I've heard of that one. A collection of tasks and an evaluation harness to help. This actually seems pretty sweet. I'm gonna have to pull this down if they open sourced it. I don't know if they did. I'm actually not a fan of this though. See, this is so tricky because the second these that get out, people will start, they'll get included in model training. We're going to see that get skewed. Really, Claude Sonnet 4 doesn't really improve Claude Sonnet 3.7 without that, what did they call it? Parallel test time compute. Because I'm assuming that is the secondary slash there. Or no, maybe that's thinking actually. Maybe it's like not thinking or non-thinking thinking. That's probably what that is. Oh, 03 is really good at planning. I'm surprised. Yeah, see this, honestly, I kind of believe with the latest version of 2.5 Pro, agentic tool use. So it actually got worse. 1 to 4. So from 81.2, not that that's, anything you can tell. And then Opus is about the same. Fascinating. Visual reasoning. It actually got worse on visual reasoning. Huh. That's actually, I would have expected that to be better. High school math significantly better. I don't know, I'm torn on the whole math test and stuff, but I totally agree the agentic tool use in Gemini's. They really do like the Claude Plays Pokemon stuff. Honestly, models have gotten so good now that it's probably going to be numbers like this that we start paying more attention to. I'm going to have to follow this terminal bench to see how relevant that ends up being. From a Claude Code perspective, Opus seemed pretty good. Yeah, see if we can find documentation on the Claude API file, or let's do memory. That was I wonder if this is the new document. No, this is local. Let me see if there's a link maybe in this announcement here. Both models are... Got it. When developers build applications that provide Claude local file access, Opus 4 becomes skilled at creating and maintaining memory file. Or key information. This unlocks better. Like creating a navigation guide while playing Pokemon. You need to give it access to like local files. Claude 4. Gonna be the same link. I am actually kind of interested to try this out too. We should do this actually, just to see if how that actually works. I have some spreadsheets that I need to go find. Let me see if I can find them. If not, I can go grab some new ones. Let me go grab. I'm gonna go download some data here. We're gonna see what kind of things it can do. Factor out. We'll go download a bunch of. Actually, I want to grab. I find it hard to believe that it's going to be able to do. I'm assuming you can do it in the web browser. Let's find out. Dang it. Guess I can't give it too much data. Is that bigger than 30 megabytes, really? Be limited then, so limit, let's do 85,000. So I keep waiting for root code to update so I can try it in there. Visual Studio crash. I'm gonna reload it here. Maybe it'll be an update now. Okay, so I have my 85,000. Hopefully that'll fit into memory here. stuff. $24 megabytes. Okay. You analyze this data and tell me the total number of purchases on to July 10th, 2024. I want to see if it actually shows it like running code. Here's actually thinking. It's writing itself code. Yeah, Dr. Vincent. Yeah, you have to be really careful with root code. I've got a pretty good strategy to manage my costs there, but it can get out of control. This is actually kind of neat. If this actually works. They ran into a parsing error. Root code update? Klein did. Claude 4 is in Klein. Not an open router. I don't think I have an Anthropic key in here. I do, actually. Here it is. Sweet. Run it in Klein here in a second. $101 total purchases. And run it over here in my data. Yeah, that seems right. It didn't, so it's kind of right, I should say. The data is kind of odd because each row is a line item. So basically counted the number of line items rather than the number of orders. So they would have to group it on the ID, but they didn't do that. It's pretty sweet. Let's take a look at that. Root code, you guys are falling behind. What the heck? Just an update. So Claude 4 Sonnet. So much faster than. I need to auto turn all this stuff on. It's so much faster than Opus already. Make me do every one of these. Yeah, I always use Claude Code and VS Code. If I go over into here, this is where I typically will have it for day-to-day stuff. I have to run it in WSL. So in mine, I can actually select Opus 4. Someone said that they couldn't see Opus 4 in the model selector. I thought that was interesting. Augment still probably not using it yet. I want to see how much code context you can pick up. So I have some tasks that I've ran in Codex that I have not ran in, I have not pulled down locally yet. Let me go grab one of them. And see, so this is what I'm curious to see what that same prompt will do here. I have actually heard of Kilo or whatever it's called. I haven't tried it yet though. Kilo code. I should definitely give that a try. All right, so this is Opus. We know we're on the Opus. Or actually, I'm on the default, which I believe right now is just Opus when I ask it. Let me see if I'm dropping frames. Let me take a look here. Let's see. Oh, it looks like I've got a pretty good connection on my end. Hopefully it's okay. This is going to be interesting if it can actually find that. The product lookup functionality, because I did not give it a good search term there. Very, very cool. Yeah, let me know if it's laggy for you guys. I can try to figure out what's going on there. Play around with here for a second. Kind of disappointed by this stuff. Okay, it did find product underscore lookup. Searching. Oh yeah, I wonder if WSL like hit things on me. Check that out, like how much memory VS Code uses. It's crazy times we live in. Oh, yeah, I'll do some full testing. I'll kind of summarize everything. I'll probably do an initial pass on everything and try to have something out like tomorrow morning for video, kind of summarizing all the stuff. I do want to actually spend some time coding with the model though. I'd like to actually put 10, 20 hours into using it, not just it for a while. Before I give like actual thoughts on it. So like Claude 3.7, for example, I liked it initially, and then it got annoying to work with, and then I feel like they've improved it. And I'm curious where Claude 4 is going to kind of fall on that spectrum. It is a crazy good time to be alive. I woke up this morning, and it's just exciting to actually write code. I mean, for those of you that have been coding for a while, like me, I don't want to type out another button, or I don't want to mess with CSS ever again in my entire life. I don't want to do things that are just tedious, like boilerplate stuff ever again. And now we actually have like multiple teammates that we can talk to and get help from. It's so crazy. Yeah, only Augment actually has a good context engine where you sync it up. Copilot supposedly does, but I hard to actually tell it works. Man, Codex is awesome. It is absolutely the coolest thing for me anyway. So some of these I've been working on for a few days, but I don't know why it says 4 minutes ago. Maybe because I just opened it 4 minutes ago to grab the comment. But I kicked this one off this morning. I was playing around with it. I was working on this one yesterday, and I was doing this while like debugging and working locally. Like I love it so much. Let me see how many tasks I've totally ran now. 82. I've ran 82 tasks there on Codex. I should definitely check out Shotgun Code. I've heard about that a few times. I did do a deep dive on ADK when it was early. I actually really like ADK. I built quite a few things with ADK, but they unfortunately do some updates that are they do breaking changes. I mean, they're early. Totally makes sense. So my only caution there is like if you're doing something that needs to go to production, just be a little careful because until they get to a stable version, I wouldn't productionalize much with it. I've heard a lot of people talk about Tray. I've definitely looked at it, but I have not had a chance to test it. There's so much to actually test. So you guys tell me what you think, but I was thinking the more and more I run stuff, the more I realize like how there's so many coding assistants now. But I was thinking about trying to figure out a way to evaluate, maybe pick 4 models. So I was thinking probably GPT 4.1, so I do an OpenAI model, Claude 3.5, no, not 3.5 anymore, probably 3.7 and 4, and then the Gemini 2.5 Pro model. So pick those 4 models and then run them in as many agents as I can and score my evals, not based on the model, but more based on how well the agent works with the model. So then we could actually have some analysis to determine, which models work best with which agent. And then for things like Tray, we could run in and the Zed IDE I like. I'd like to be able to do that and then have this. And honestly, I think it could actually help some of these understand how well they're performing against others. So, for example, if I find Root Code actually was working a little bit worse with Claude 3.7 than Windsurf is, that might help Root Code improve. Ideally, that'd be the dream there. Man, so evals are a pain in the butt, honestly. I spent probably 100 hours kind of building out what I have already. It's a combination. The big problem is that most of these agents, other than like Claude Code and Aider, you can't run automatically. So you have to actually interact with them in an IDE. So that's so painful. But I'll launch like 5 or 6 IDEs and I'll kind of kick off a whole set on a particular model at one time when I'm doing it. But then what I have is I have a very specific prompt that I give it with very explicit rules around like what files need to exist, what tests need to exist, what functionality needs to exist. I then have a series of unit tests that run against the code that's generated. And then I actually have other things that run. So I evaluate, make sure there's no like linting errors, make sure that all the libraries that I told it to use are actually in there properly. So I have a set of deterministic checks that run. And then what I do is I do an LLM as a judge, and those prompts are a pain to get good. So I run LLM as a judge on the output of it. And what that's doing is the prompts are actually kind of long, but you give it good examples and bad examples of everything that you're expecting. And I've got the variance for my evals down to less than like 5% now. So that means on just the judge side of it, my deterministic stuff is 100% like the same every time. So then I'm able to weight those together on top of the number of tool call failures. So that's also into the weighted. Because what I care about at the end of the day is how well it works for us. Because these benchmarks don't mean anything if I pull it into Root Code or Klein or any of these and it works like crap. So it's like, how well does it actually work for what I need it for? And I feel like when I look at what I'm generating, I always do like that gut check. Like, is this what I feel like on a day-to-day basis as well? And I feel like it correlates fairly well with that. I get surprised sometimes. Like SWE 1 surprised me by how good it was. But when I ran the numbers on it, it was right in line with kind of where I would have put it naturally. So it feels a little bit more realistic of a test than doing like the SWE bench, like looking at that. But I will say it is very, very time consuming. It's unfortunately very time consuming. So I've got it, and it's kind of costly too, because it costs me quite a bit to run across all these models, because I do multiple iterations, and then judging on top of it is also expensive. So anyway, that's where I'm at with that. Let's see what you guys say. Python is awesome when you're doing any kind of agentic workflow. Yeah, you honestly don't necessarily need a framework or library to do agentic stuff. So in this code base here, on the server side, I actually have, so let me see if I actually have a series of agents that are running when you're doing particular things, like when you're chatting with it. And I'm not using anything. I built the entire system. I built everything from the function calling, the SSE to keep the connection open, all the testing that I do, all the guardrails, all the prompting, all of that stuff I kind of manage myself. And it's just a lot easier than trying to shoehorn in somebody else's library into an existing application. So sometimes it's better just to make your own. But everybody should pick what they think's better, honestly. All right, I think I'm probably, let's see, is there anything else that you guys would want to see before I jump off here and get back to work? Appreciate you guys hanging out. No, last I checked, I did not get it in Augment yet. Try it again. All I can do is ask it. I got the message saying it was there, but it keeps telling me 3.7, and then if I go to agent mode, what? They fixed this? Hold on. No, they didn't. I was already in agent mode. Let's go to chat mode. So this is kind of funny. I always forget it. That does this to me. These are the models I'm not using this one. I don't think I am. But I am using 3.7, 3.5 Sonnet. I do use GPT-4. I do use Vision. I use O3 Mini, O4 Mini High, and GPT Image 1. These are all the models that I currently use in my system. I wonder if I have like a comment or something about that in there. Because I did use this a while back, but I haven't used that for a while. What's up, Birdman? This is always Claude 3.5 for me. Yep. And Claude 3.5 Sonnet. And then we do have, if I go back to, we are running that one test in Klein right now. And Klein's got pretty. Feature here, I hope root code ends up adding something like this. I think this is cool. $1.26. Crazy. Oh, wait, it passed 42 of its test suite? Let's see if we can actually run that. Sometimes they make me run it. Run. That's so funny. That's a bummer. My wife just came home saying hi. I probably need to give Klein another run because I left it because I really like the custom modes that you can do with root code better. And maybe there's a way to do that in Klein now too. I'm not totally sure. Wish this was actually running. See what the error is. So it's basically, yeah. There's a Qt problem here. Anti-aliasing. Enable high DPI scaling. There's something with anti-aliasing. Way they're handling that there. I bet you we could actually have it fix it. We probably don't even need to have anti-aliasing, honestly. They could probably remove that. What are the quality of life features you like in Klein? I'd be curious. Whoa, it fixed it. Monitor detection failed. Takes at most 2 arguments, 4 given. Here we can actually like create a file for it. That's cool. Video quality. It actually looks pretty sweet. I don't think it's gonna work, but it doesn't let me pick my webcam either. And my cat is crying. Yeah, I do like the built-in MCP marketplace. I know root code's working on that too. Stop there, buddy. Let's run my this. I'm gonna move this over here. That. On Windsor if you need to update. Run. Yeah, it passes my test that I have. It launches it to make sure it actually runs. Whoa. That's actually a really high score. Normal here is like 68 to 73. It passed 3 out of 5 in my test that I gave it. For that one. That's crazy. Yeah, I do use DeepSeek and Roo. I quit using it because it was so slow. This actually might be a new record for this particular eval. Depends on what the I have to pull in the log. What I do a lot of times when I'm running these, this is also part of the time consuming part. But if you look in the chat here, every one of these chat logs that are created, here's my history. Actually, I can download the JSON for that, and I can parse it to see how many failures there are, which makes that super nice to be able to do it. And I'm hoping that Klein would have something similar, so I don't actually have to go through and count. This is an error that root code gets to, where if you have auto approve on it, like skips over asking. I don't count those as tool calls. Somehow it's not reading the terminal right in Klein there. It could be because I'm using git bash. It might not work well with git bash. Look at that. No like if errors, no. Cool. Jules is great. I kept running into issues though where it would like stop halfway through. I honestly think it's a demand thing. They I'm pretty sure they're limited on their compute because they have 5 tasks a day is just brutally low. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I think these are going to score. Like in my first couple tests I've run, I think Claude 3.7 and Claude 4 are going to score very similar. I think what's going to be the thing is how the agents use it. So I'm really curious how Claude Code is going to score with it. I'll try to add that to the list for tomorrow. See if I can get through it tonight. All right, so coming back over to this real quick for anybody that's just joined. Where I guess I opened this a million times. Like this one here. So I think everyone pretty much knew it was going to be Claude 4. And they came out right away and announced it. They also announced Opus 4, which I honestly was not expecting. The other thing that I would say is the pricing is pretty high for Opus, almost unusable for coding. I would say arguably unusable for coding, unless you're a big company and can afford to pay, thousands of dollars, probably a day if you've got multiple engineers using that. So I don't think this is the model that we're going to care about. I also find it odd that the context window is still 200K there. And then Claude Sonnet 4, same price as Claude 3.7. I was hoping maybe it will drive Claude 3.5 and Claude 3.7 cheaper, but it seems unlikely. Still the same 200K context window though. So those things are I don't want to say unfortunate, but they're kind of as expected. Other than Opus, I was not expecting that one. They announced extended thinking with tool use, which I thought was cool. New model capabilities such as being able to use tools in parallel. I need to play around with this because this to me seems incredible. And I'm wondering if this will work in the API as well. So I'm definitely going to play around with that. Claude Code is out of preview now, which honestly I wasn't even paying attention to. I kind of thought it was out of preview already. But I'm a huge fan of Claude Code, and honestly, the Claude Max subscription is just a steal right now. I am very interested in this GitHub Actions, and I want to kind of consider like giving that a run, especially when So I'm using Codex right now, and I'm pushing directly to GitHub. So I'm doing PRs from there, or I'm pulling it locally. So I'm wondering if I skipped ahead and literally just did it within GitHub, like is that a better experience? So it'll be interesting. I'm super excited about this MCP connector built into the API. This is something that I was actually debating building into my product that I'm working on. And if it's built into the API, that could save me a ton of time. I need to learn more about this files API, but I also find that very interesting. And I think the biggest thing for us coders is this prompt caching goes up to an hour now, where before it was 5 minutes. So if you think about, you're typing into root code, basically the system prompt would get cached, but 5 minutes later, you're paying for it again. So then you know how long it can kind of take for a single chat to go through. So you're waiting, you do 3 or 4 messages, you're 5 minutes up, you're paying for it again. That 1 hour, if this is just built in and handled, this is going to be a massive cost saving potentially for all of us that are working in those agentic coding tools. And then both are hybrid models, so you can do extended thinking or not, so that's kind of expected. Looking at the benchmarks, I've actually come to not really believe these benchmarks as much, so I'll have to kind of do my own testing on it. But this 80.2 is with parallel test time compute, which is something that I need to do some digging into to kind of understand what that means and how to actually enable that. I find it very interesting that if you don't have that enabled, that it's about the same as OpenAI Codex 1, which I have found Codex 1 model to be, or the Codex remote agents to be phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And then down here, the one thing that someone pointed out was this agentic terminal coding, which is done by Terminal Bench. So that is 50% for Opus, 41.3% for Sonnet 4, 35.2% for 3.7. Very surprised at how low this is, but I haven't heard much about this benchmark before, so I need to spend some time with it. But surprisingly, it's about the same as Claude 3.7. Without what I'm assuming is either the parallel test compute or the thinking, so I'm not sure. Augment currently is, if you're looking at, go over here to Augment Code, I keep asking it, and right now it keeps telling me it's Claude 3.5 Sonnet in agent mode, and then in chat mode it tells me that it's model are you using? It tells me that it's Claude 3.7. And honestly, yep, see, Claude 3.7. And I do have it updated to the latest. I did get a message saying it's using Claude 4, but it's definitely not telling me that it is. Augment mailed that you have to log into your web account to check, so I'll have to do that. I did kill VS Code and restarted it because it crashed. I might need to do that again. So this here is Claude Code. And if I go into model, you can see that I have Opus and Sonnet as available models in here. I currently just have it set to default, which AI model are you? Every time I've asked it this, it tells me it's Opus. So we'll see what it ends up telling me here. But I'm wondering if, like, at a certain point, it'll just auto switch me to Sonnet. It is very slow. Yeah, so it's still Opus. This is the prompt that I gave Codex, and I had it run remotely. It basically should have used, I wonder why it changed my memcache service. Interesting. Yeah, I don't know why it would have needed to do that. I'll have to see how it did implemented that. It should be very simple. Validate product cache. Yeah, it looks like it's going to work pretty well there. But basically the prompt that I gave it here was very vague. So I basically told it about the memcache service and told it that it needed to find my product lookup area, and it searched through the entire product, my entire code base, and found it on its own without me directing it. Super neat. Wait, your augment just rolled the Claude 4? All right, so let me do this. I'm gonna just close out all my VS Code windows here. wonder if it's only, it might only be an agent mode too, so I'll switch over to that and see. Agent mode. Oh, mine hasn't rolled yet. Oh, Rinks, you got lucky. I have not even heard of the AMP VS Code extension, honestly. Let's take a look. There's a bunch of them. I'm guessing it's probably the source graph one. Is it this one here? Yep, it's that one. I'll have to give that one a go. I do know a couple friends that are using. I'll have to go get a key that are actually using source graph, like in a large company. Yeah, I'll definitely have to set this up and try it. Appreciate the recommendation there. I'll be very curious about this. It's one review. It's very low low downloads currently. Actual reviews. I don't know. I was searching in here the other day, like agentic coding, just to see like how many were here. I saw this one, which is Alibaba's Code AI coding assistant, and 1.3 million downloads. That was great. Windsurf has a plugin? How did I not know that? You guys probably already knew that. Whoa. I wonder if it's actually updated. So crazy how many of these there are now. It's new. I'll definitely have to try that out. For being new, 2,700,000 downloads. It's nuts. Absolutely nuts. But yeah, the code execution tool, we did actually test this out as well. I uploaded a 28 megabyte file CSV, and it wrote code to scan it, and it was able to answer the question. It was close. So the only nuance there was every line item in the CSV was a line item of an order made, whereas actually they would have needed to join on the ID. So the number they gave me was 101, which is right for the number of line items, but not right for the number of orders like I asked. But it was still very impressive what it ended up doing. I'm not sure, other than like that use case, I'm not sure how else I would use that. I'm actually really interested in, because when they show this video here, like if you look at this, they're doing it in, they're actually doing e-commerce stuff too. It's funny. It looks like they're doing it in root code, or not root code, Claude code. So I'm actually kind of interested to try something like that in there. It could actually be really neat. This I need to figure out how to actually do. I am incredibly excited about this and figuring out how to make this work. Files API, they do have links to it. Take a look at what this does. You upload your files, you get a file ID. So you keep track of that locally. You can download files, you can reference files and messages using the file ID instead of re-uploading the content. You can manage your files. Can I replace a file? Is it, or delete a file? Can delete a file. And I replace a file. Doesn't look like it. 32 megabytes per file, 100 gigabytes per organization. Seems fairish. Go to the workspace of the API key. Huh. They persist until you delete them. Deleted cannot be recovered. And uploading's free, downloading's free, listing's free, deleting's free. Okay. Dang, I wish I had known about this like 2 days ago. I've got this system. Hey, I appreciate that. The message. Do I know what the message limits are for free and pro plans of Claude? Like, how many messages can you send per hour? Problem with it is it seems to be varied on how complex the message is. So it's not necessarily like a number of message limit. So there are times like in Claude where I'll be in a long message and I send 3 and I hit my limit. And there are times that I'm doing a good job of keeping my context low and I could go a lot longer. So it's all about like managing how much context you have there. So for MCPs, I found for coding them not to be very useful. In most cases, I say in like very few cases do I find like MCPs actually helping me in coding. And I've tried. I've gone down the rabbit hole, and I hope someone figures out something like Context 7. I love what they're doing, but the documentation they send back isn't necessarily what I needed at that point. If you actually look at what it puts back into the context. So now I'm paying for context that's not even that valuable to me. What I found better, which is why I was thinking like for my application, to going back here, for example, go to prompt manager. This is sort of just, this is an internal thing that I built here. But what I'm doing is I'm injecting a lot of things that are specific to a store as part of the prompt, but you don't always need those things. So one of the things that I've been working on now is this dynamic function calling. So like if I go back to chats here, actually let's start a new chat. I'll say, tell me about the snowboard I have in stock. What I'm doing here, there's actually a lot of complex stuff going on here just to even kick off this because of kind of injecting the stuff in. But what I'm doing here is I'm actually doing my own tool calling to go and find products for me. So it's actually going to look up the store, it's hitting Shopify to pull that back in. And what I was thinking about is what I really would want here is MCPs. That way I don't have to custom build every one of these. So every time I want to do a function call now, it's like every functionality is just a lot of work. Whereas I think if I had MCPs in place, I could guide it to use those instead, which I think would be pretty sweet, honestly. I do think things like this are more practical for MCP usage rather than for coding. That's just my personal opinion. I don't know. You mind telling me what's the best models and editors are the best? I know that Claude Max is a great deal. I'm so behind the latest stuff. I'm pretty old school. I like VS Code a lot. I just stay in VS Code most of the time for editors. Zed is really cool, and I think they're cooking, but it doesn't run on Windows, so I can't use that constantly. Claude Code and Augment Code, the combination of those two is just like a superpower, to be honest with you, locally coding. But I do think more and more we are moving to this age of remote coding, remote agent coding. And I did that video, I was maybe 2 weeks ago on remote agent. And I feel like since I did that video, everybody has come out with it. I thought it was going to be months before remote agents took over, but no, it's been wild. But Claude Max is an amazing deal. honestly, if we could get a, let's see, do I have this over here? Gemini. What I keep thinking is that Gemini Code Assist was going to get announced to be updated, because this thing's kind of bad right now. It's not kind of bad. It's pretty bad right now. But I was expecting this at Google I/O to be updated, and then I was expecting the Ultra plan they announced to allow like access to Gemini Code, whatever they want to call it. If that were to happen, it would be interesting to see the value of this compared to like Claude Code Max. All right, I better get back to it. Appreciate you guys all for hanging out. Yeah, Gemini Code Assist is only really good for chatting. Yeah, thank you guys. I'll try to do an evaluation and see how far I can get tonight. If it's not tomorrow morning, it'll probably be the next morning before I. But I'm hoping I can get something out tomorrow morning on Claude 4. All right, take care, everybody.